we started on YouTube. Excellent. Welcome, 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 one and all, to yet another episode of WhickTV, a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues, political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. And we're trying something a little different today, gang. We're doing something I haven't done before. So let me kind of explain what's going on. First of all, Sadkitcat, thank you for the raid. Thank you to the raiders. If you haven't hit that follow button, please do so. If you're on YouTube right now, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. All of this helps me out. Really appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Okay, what are we doing? So we have one more woman coming. Icebeans. She's running a little late due to technical difficulties, but we'll get her in here. But once she's here, we're going to talk about what it's like to be a woman in online spaces, right? Oh, speak of the devil. We'll get her in here, okay? It's going to be not only a discussion where I will kind of lead with questions, but I want a lot of audience participation too. So if you have questions, priority will be given to paid questions. So if you're on YouTube and you want to super chat some, we'll get to them. If you throw some bits my way and ask a question, we'll get to those as well. But also, if you want to call in and ask them directly, I highly encourage you to do so there. First of all, how are all you ladies doing? How's everyone going?
Hello.
Hi.
Doing all right. How about y'all?
Well, I'm glad you're on time. It's nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Nah, it's fine. It's all good. Yeah, is everyone okay? Like, no?
Good. I'm a little nervous.
𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. You got 4 women waiting on you and you're just killing the game.
Look. Well, this is part of what we're going to talk about tonight, like the dynamics, right? Of being a woman in an online space, the expectations, right? Like when someone DMs you, right? What kind of DMs do you normally get? Because I'm pretty sure normally they're most likely different than mine. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and kind of discuss things such as that. Dan Che with the first question, should women be allowed internet access? I mean, it's a valid one, right? What do you think, gang?
Yes. Absolutely.
Boom,
yes.
Easy.
Maybe not me.
So I guess
that's a bit of a no-brainer.
Let's start off, I think, just to kind of break the ice a little bit and get you comfortable. Introduce yourselves, tell people who you are, and I'm curious what made you start as a creator in the first place? And we'll start with that, and then we'll kind of just get into it, get into some questions, and maybe get things going here. So we'll start with you, Icebeans, since last come, first answer, right? What brought you into the space? When did you first come online, so to speak, and get involved in online spaces? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Icebeans. I initially, weirdly enough, it was like after it was most likely after the elections that I kind of found Twitch poll, like the 2020 election, that I found Twitch poll in general. I think I stumbled across, like, somebody linked me like a Vosh stream maybe, and that's kind of where I started. And then, you know, kind of branched out from there. I became a pretty solid arbiter of 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙, who incidentally might actually be returning to streaming. So that's an interesting rumor for y'all there. But then, you know, it wasn't too long after that I decided to kind of get into it myself. Had built up a bit of a base in 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝑚's community. So I do still very much consider myself a 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝑚 arbiter. But then, yeah, it's kind of branched out from there.
Okay.
I've recently taken a hiatus because I'm back in the US, but I will be returning to streaming starting next Tuesday, and that's when you can find me on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, competing for Wick.
Well, I appreciate you coming on to this, and yeah, we'll dig into it as we go. But again, I want to give everyone here a chance to just kind of introduce themselves, feel a little more comfortable talking, and get this discussion going. What do you think, 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙? What got you into online spaces?
Hey, what's up? I'm 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙. I don't know. I had a lot of free time, to be honest, and I already had a gaming PC, and I was playing games, and then I was like, dang, I should probably stream these. So I started, and I've been doing that a couple months. Going pretty good.
Nice.
Well, cool. Yeah. Erudite, what about you?
My husband thought that I would have a good conversation with the streamer Destiny about psychometrics and bad psychology that lots of people talk about on his stream and others. And I had been TikToking a bit before then. It kind of popped off. People seemed to like me, and I just kind of stuck around.
Well, we're glad to have you around, and thanks for coming tonight. And we're kind of getting into kind of your experience and others' experience here, and we'll talk about it, right? KitKat, what do you think? What got you in?
Well, I started streaming a lot when I was younger, like when I was like 18, because my sister's been streaming for like 10 years or something now. But I stopped for a couple years because I was working and then went back into school. But I've been streaming for the past year now. I started playing games, just chatting and stuff, and then somehow I ended up talking about politics. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying half the time. But yeah, I'm live like 10 hours Monday to Friday, just hanging out.
So I guess I'd ask initially, right? How has these spaces that you've inhabited, do you feel how are you treated different as a woman, in your opinion? Are you treated different? Or do you think that you kind of have the same experience as everyone else? What do you think? Icebeans, you're muted if you're trying to talk.
Yes, thank you. Weirdly enough, I don't necessarily see. It's weird because I'm sure I do experience things a little bit differently, and I would say that some of that attributes to being a woman, but I also don't know that for sure. I think that part of my initial success on Twitch could have been attributed to being a woman.
Like, what do you mean by that?
But I would say that based on the other streamers around me who started at that time, or just the people that I know, I saw initially when I started, I saw a big bump of people. I got to affiliate, I would say, pretty quickly, within a month, I'd say. And I know that there are some people who, maybe they wouldn't be able to get the numbers that they would have. And I'm sure part of it is personality, your content, when you stream, and all of that. But I can't help but think that some of it might have to do with being a woman and being a not so bad person to look at either, and I don't know, it's just an idea that I have. But other than that, I've not really been treated differently. I don't think.
What about the rest of you? Lilmole, do you think that at least initially your success was due to you being a woman? Yeah?
Probably still, to be honest.
Still, to be honest?
Well, because I'm not I'm just a chatting streamer, so I'm just being real with myself. I'm pretty fun, but I think I probably get a lot more clicks. I don't think people would just click on me sitting in my gaming chair, for 6 hours a day. As often. I don't think I would have probably as many subs. But I think you still have to be entertaining, and you still have to be some reason that they stick around, but I think it helps me get the initial clicks. I like being a woman. I like being a woman streamer.
So are you happy? I guess, well, that's a question too. Are you happy with how the online space treats you? Right?
Yeah, I think the main thing that is security. If you're a woman, it's a little bit safety-wise a little bit scarier.
Mm.
The parasocial relationships are a little bit unique and a little bit weirder, but I think that comes with the territory of also just getting an influx of people simply because they like how you look.
Have you had a scare? Are you comfortable sharing a time you've had kind of a security scare? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
One guy was DDoSing my internet for a month, asking for my Snapchat. So
sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
No, you were there. It happened.
Yeah, no, that was messed up.
I'll have people. Someone found my mom's phone number, just weird stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any stories on safety security screens from the rest of you that you'd like to share?
I got a
curious.
weird one.
Yeah, please.
I had this regular, and he was a regular chatter, and he was in the Discord all the time. And we had like disagreements and stuff, but that's fine. I like having disagreements with chatters. But one night we had a disagreement that he just really didn't like, and he never popped back up in my stream again. But for about 2 weeks to a month after, because I stream like 10, 11 hours a day, for 4 to 5 hours every stream, every 5 minutes, a new account was made that would follow me that was like death threats, like saying, I'm going to throw acid on you. I know where you live. You're going to die. Kill streamer death. But that was enough. He started going to my sister's stream and doing the same thing to her for like a month.
Wow.
Oof. And do you think it was due to you being a woman, or was it something else in your opinion?
I don't know. That guy was definitely cooking a pot of wacky-oly ravioli. Like, I don't know what that was going
Wacky-oly
on with him.
ravioli.
He was cooking something.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a super chat I wanted to read and ask all of you. And this is from 𝕵𝖎 community. So, when it comes to how body count is being viewed in dating, would it be based to think that's fine someone with a matching body count than everyone just going for one of the two extremes? Just a thought. Anyone want to touch that one?
Wait, can you maybe rephrase that?
It's a clarification. They're trying to say, would matching body count be better than the extremes? Just
I feel
going.
like it'd be so hard to find someone with a matching body count. I mean, similar maybe, but
I mean, maybe if the body count is like 1 or 2, right? I feel like you know, maybe this is just the people I know, you know. I can't say that I know too many people with like a huge body count, but I know a lot of people who, you know, have like the body counts like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay.
I think it maybe depends on like how many the range of people that you know. I would say that the body count isn't as important as like the experiences. Maybe I think I would maybe choose someone based on their experiences. Like all of your body counts, like you could have a higher body count, but not be like well versed in like certain kinks or whatever, right? And maybe if that's your kink, then that's the only thing that would like matter to you. Maybe.
Does it? Do you think that you get more sexual questions than men do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does it
Probably.
bother you?
It can be annoying. It can be frustrating sometimes. Like, I'm like trying to play games and they're asking about my toes or something. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like what? Like, this has nothing to do with anything. Why are you coming in like that, bro?
How do you deal with that when it happens? Like,
I'll just
what's your
call them
go-to?
out. Like, and like I had it happen earlier today. God, I can't remember. I mean, it happens like basically every stream because all my other social medias are not like my Twitch. Like my Twitch is like my chill spot. But they think my Twitch is gonna be like my other social medias, and so they come in like asking whack questions. I'm like, bro, like I'm literally like playing Sims right now. Like, what are you? Like, what did you think was gonna happen? We were gonna like start sexting live, like publicly in front of my.
I mean, I think that you know, I'm not I'm not really equivocating, but I have heard recently I was listening to some discussion about like sex work, and it's kind of like how sex workers they get those kinds of comments quite often because it's just kind of assumed that, oh, this is what you do, so of course you know, it makes sense that you will be fine talking about this. And I wonder how much of that thinking extends to just women in general. And you know, obviously it's not okay, but I guess to some people it's like, yeah, sure, you can tolerate that question, or maybe to get a reaction or something. I usually have like mods that kind of just yeet the person right away, especially if it's like a really weird out there comment. But I also can't say that I've received too many of those comments. I'm not, I would say, as unlucky as some.
Yeah, I mean, I think women in general are pretty much always going to be getting more sexualized commentary. I think that's self-evident. Like, I think everyone would assume that would be the case. I'm not saying that that's good, right? I mean, a classic example of my situation is I do this a lot because I have a neck injury. So this relieves like pressure on my C-spine where it's like compressed. And it started as a meme, but people started joking how I was doing it to be like, to like help people to draw in a crowd that has like an armpit kink, and it was just a joke. So I just leaned into it because I thought it was like stupid and funny. But now there's people unironically who seriously believe that I'm flaunting my armpits exclusively for like sexual gratification. And in my mind, I'm like, bro, it's an armpit, you fucking weirdos. Like, chill, right? And so it's like in many ways, like there's this like tension where like sometimes it's fun to lean into the sexualization, like meme and like make a joke, and there's like areas where it can be okay. But the reality is like if you lean into it at all, what it also does is it like okays that behavior and it will escalate it. Like I used to get almost no sexual commentary at all because I'm just like, that's just like not super my thing. And then when I started leaning into like armpit memes and like other like sexual type memeing and jokes, I definitely get more sexual comments. I don't personally care at all. In fact, I screenshot weird comments people make and I post them on my Twitter because I think it's funny. But I understand like girls like wanting to like block it and stuff. I just find it really entertaining personally, but that's obviously my personal experience with it.
Sure. Go on.
I was gonna say that it is actually something that I had heard about you, notsoErudite. Like I think somebody referred to you as an armpit streamer, and I don't like at the time when I heard it, I was like, I don't know if that's a beam. I feel like I have seen her raise her arms, but like I wouldn't necessarily associate that with like something you're doing for attention, right? Like any more.
But now I've leaned into it.
Yeah, okay. Now
I've leaned into it. Like I'll do Twitch calls and be like, call to action, you guys want to keep these armpits clean and fresh, donate to your local. Because it's funny, because it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away at all. And if I act like super like triggered about it, people are going to do it more for different reasons. So I'd rather just like joke about it because the reality is like, it's not going anywhere. Because I always do this because it relieves the pressure in my neck. It's just a little cringe that people are so like actually stupid that they think that it's like a real thing.
Right. Well, see,
but I guess there's girls who sleep on stream, so I don't know. It's hard to say. There's a lot of weird shit that people do on Twitch. So.
Oh, I would never sleep on stream. I feel like I'm the kind of person that falls asleep with their eyes open, and I do not look flattering when I'm asleep. I would never do that. I think that'd just be subjecting people to like some kind of weird torture.
Yeah, I've definitely slept on stream. It's like the most viewers I've ever had.
Damn. I know, I've heard.
Oh, fair enough.
That's so
I
interesting.
didn't even have my face in it, but
Noted.
I think they just like expect you're gonna wake up and like accidentally forget you're streaming and like be naked or something. I don't know. I don't know what they think.
So two things. I have one more super chat that's come through, and also I want to pull on a caller. And gang, I want to let the audience know if you're out there and you have questions and you want to ask these women a few things about what it's like being in an online space, you can actually call into the show and do that, and I'll pull you on and you can ask a couple questions, then we'll kick you off when you're boring or you get too weird, right? Yeah, let's get to the question, then we'll get to the caller. Okay. If the DDoSer, and this is to you, little mole, I guess, if the DDoSer wouldn't stop and your livelihood was threatened, is it justifiable to kill the person in self-defense, assuming you can't stop it in any other way? So if they kept on attacking you and harassing you and things.
I just finessed him. So I let him add me on Snapchat, and then he would send me selfies, and I just started screenshotting all of them and everything he said. And I was like, well, now I have all your information too, bitch. So good luck.
Okay.
Damn.
And then I
but
just
would you kill
recorded
him?
everything.
Yeah, but if that
wouldn't
didn't
kill
work.
him. I mean, I wouldn't kill him just because, like, I don't even care enough to do all that. Like,
I'm too lazy to kill you,
a lot
bitch.
of work for like him. Like he was kind of just whatever. But no, I think he's like his sad life is probably punishment enough, eh? Like to be that miserable over a Snapchat. I
guess that's
so funny.
The worst timeline is when he continues to live. Gotcha. Okay. Let's bring on our caller and see what he has to say. Hello, you're live.
Oh, Q2.
You're live. We can't hear you if you're trying.
He's working on the cam, Wick. Okay, he's got to get it.
Give it a minute, I guess.
He was sitting backstage for quite a while, so.
Yeah, he might be making some coffee.
Well, you got about 10 seconds, brother, and then we're gonna put you down, and we're gonna bring you back later.
Put you down.
Okay. down into the room he was, right? So yes, how do you join calls? That's how you join calls. Thank you, mods. You hit that button, right? The link to my Discord. You come on in and you jump backstage. And when we're ready, we'll pull you on and we'll be able to ask you questions and things like that. And I have a few too, right? Like, so don't feel you have to come on in. Okay, Q2. Sorry, buddy. Okay,
Avoid with you.
yeah, we can't hear you or see you. Oh well. Well, we have one more. Let's try Wolf Glen here. Hello.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes, excellent. What do you got for us?
Well, it's a silly question. How do these ladies keep a straight face with males acting like idiots, trying to think they're quote unquote top G's or whatever the vernacular is for this something? Ladies, I'm 62. I've been married 40 years, so I'm no longer in the demographics or kind of care about, the struggles and tribulations of young romance. I've been there, done that, have my battle scars. It's all fine. But how do you not laugh your asses off? Some of these guys, I mean, Wick is the exception. I mean, he is the true master, and I do, so we're not including Wick in this.
I'm just here, dude.
Damn. Wick's catching strays.
I'm just here. But no, let's let them answer. Like, so yeah, when someone is hitting on you live on stream, I guess, how do you keep a straight face, or do you keep a straight face, or do you just laugh?
I mean, well, I'm in a relationship and I have been for a while, for the last like 5 years. So when people like hit on me, I'll usually shut it down right away. I'm like, thanks for the compliment, but like, there's never a chance. Even if I wasn't in a relationship, there wasn't a chance. But if they keep going and they keep being weird about it, then I'm gonna have to, hand some timeouts, some ban hammers.
I'm the kind of person who's terrible at poker faces, and I am very much the nervous laugher. So I do, when I have had people come in and say inappropriate things, which is not too often, but like it is a bit of a struggle, like keeping a straight face and like trying not to give them the attention that they're probably after. But in general, I think the more you get it, I think the more you'd maybe get like used to it, or even like develop a better poker face. But I'm not sure. I can't really speak to that. I just know that if somebody came up to me in real life, I just would not be able to have a poker face for sure. I would 100% kind of stammer something in the moment and then like go home and think about like the witty comeback in the shower,
Nothing quite as devastating as in a bar situation and the female gives you that nervous giggle laugh, like, oh, okay, I should walk away now. Yeah, I get that.
Okay.
What other question?
Oh, go ahead.
Question. So which one of you are in a group together and make billions of dollars by either giving a video or instructions?
You're cutting out, buddy. You're cutting out. We couldn't hear you. We heard something about billions of dollars.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, what's up?
Hello? Okay. Which one of you ladies or grouping are going to make billions of dollars by creating videos or instructional aids, nothing sexual in the least, but teaching these young males what used to be called game back in my day? In other words, the ability to learn how to talk to women, to not be Raish on Big Bang Theory where you can't talk in front of a woman. How do you get to them to basically figure out how to talk, how to have a mind, and just be able to say what you feel, say what you do, and don't try to impress. Just be yourself. And if you happen to be a little bit funny and weird in the right way, that's a plus. Just go out there and talk to women. I don't understand why
men don't want advice from women a lot of the time, because like some women know what works with women, particularly women who have like been bisexual and have to flirt with women. But a lot of straight women have never actually experienced pursuing a straight woman. So a lot of girls give terrible ris advice. So it's tricky because you need to be a girl who gives good advice to guys, and then guys are like so like hesitant about it at this point now. that it's not really $1 billion idea, unfortunately. It's pretty hard as a woman in the kind of manosphere space. There's a lot of hurdles to overcome. It's not exactly the winning strat for content these days.
I feel like I've seen you do some content like that, though, notsoErudite, right? Like, just Vice in general. I wouldn't say that you made a focus of it ever, but...
yeah, it's definitely not the most running strat, though. I mean, if I was more of a pick-me and just willing to throw women under the bus, I'd be lit, okay? I'd make lots of money. But unfortunately, I don't want to encourage men to just like hate
Those
women.
damn morals.
I know. Oh, it's so frustrating.
Getting in the way every time.
But even though I do this, and most of my advice isn't mine, it comes from like my husband, other guys that I've watched. Like I've just like listened to a bunch of people talk, and I'm like, this makes sense. This doesn't. I've seen this work. I see this not work. It's still like an uphill battle where guys are like, well, you're just a fish. Only trust fishermen. And it's like, bro, I make your fisherman's coach. Okay, I'm a fish who's been studying the ways, the art of fishing for years. Okay, but yeah.
Wolf Glenn, we love you, buddy. But for now, send him away. I hope that answered his questions. But yeah, gang, like I said, if you want to call in, more than welcome. If you have questions, and I have a question actually, because I want to talk about being online, not just in a creator sense, right? But just existing online, right? So I'm part of some online writing groups, and in those groups are women who do not advertise they're women, and also actually go out of their way to present as male. So they have a male username, they use male profile pictures, etc. And I've talked to them about this, and according to them, they're just, the attention they get just by existing in these spaces, not being a content creator, but being feminine presenting, is a problem. So I guess my question would be, have you ever done that? How have you ever hid the fact that you're a female in an online space, whether you're gaming, whether you're in a group chat or what have you? And like, what are some of the things that you've done, if you have any experiences in that? Go ahead.
I've definitely done it on like video games.
Yeah.
Like, not wanting to talk, but not in a real sense. Like I haven't had to, like, career wise for any means had to do that. But just in, like, if you're playing Valorant or something, you don't feel like getting shat on for an hour and a half.
Is that
It's
something
not
that'll
much.
happen if you are a woman?
Oh, it could, yeah, definitely. Depends on your mood though, if you're feeling feisty or not. But I think most women probably have done that a couple times.
Okay.
I know for my part, I haven't. Thinking back about my tags over the years, like they have kind of been somewhat gendered, or like if you put some thought into it, you could probably figure out like, okay, like a woman probably made up that name. As far as like hiding it, in like avatars and stuff, I really haven't done that to, like, I don't think I've really ever done that, or done that like consciously. I think it also depends on sort of, for example, the games that you're playing, and the way that, for example, you communicate. Like, so for example, I'm a filthy League player.
I'm sorry.
And I usually play, like, okay, if I'm playing with my friends, I'm on comms with my friends. If I'm playing solo, I don't get on comms. And people aren't gonna necessarily see like Icebeans and think like, oh yes, that's a woman's.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, but I think that's also the culture of League. You just don't necessarily get into comms with people that you don't know. So I think, in that regard, I haven't really had to do that. So yeah, that's just my experience though.
Well, we got another caller, and I want to bring him before I go too far with it. But any other thoughts on that before we move on?
I mean, I haven't really entered any spaces without like portraying that I'm a woman, and if I don't feel comfortable going in it, like being myself, I probably won't like go in. I can understand like feeling like wanting to be in there, but having to hide it because you don't want to get like hit on and stuff. But I usually just keep to myself if possible.
Got you. Okay. Let's bring in our next caller. Hello, you're live.
Uh-oh.
Hello.
Hello.
Turning on my camera.
If you'd like.
It worked.
It's
Can you see me?
darkness. It's darkness.
We see darkness.
Okay.
Maybe.
Now it's gray.
Weird. Oh, I know how to fix this. On. Okay. Well, anyways, my question. I don't know if I missed this or. Can you see me now? Okay, there you go.
Okay.
I don't know if I missed this earlier on because I missed the beginning. But do you guys think that there are, and this is a contentious question, it might piss you off. Do you think that there are any benefits to the unwanted sexual attention that women get, like in the short term? Like, for instance, I heard notsoErudite mention that she like leaned into the armpit thing, and it seems like the better of two options there. But do you think like in leaning into it, it gives you like a like uncomfortable, but like a boost of attention somehow? Or how do you guys feel about leaning into it like that?
Probably, for sure. Because there's some people who like genuinely have. I found out after this that there are people who actually have serious armpit kinks, which is just like my vanilla ass had no idea. I just thought it was silly. So probably a little bit. It definitely, if nothing else, opened up the door, I think, for my audience in general to be a little bit more comfortable viewing me like more sexual and being like, oh, it's okay to like talk about this a little bit, which probably did help a little bit. I didn't say like a massive boost in numbers, but this is gonna be so hard to know, like to put your finger on, because I can't like test it now without that experience. So possibly.
I mean, I can see it boosting. I can see it boosting your engagement. For example, if like, especially if you had like some kind of weird reaction to it, right? And people are coming in due to that reaction. I don't think that I've ever like capitalized on that in that way. I'm sure it happens with other people, though. I don't know how intentionally.
Well, let me just ask it directly. Who here leans into their sexuality in order to get more viewers? Raise your hand. Okay.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, not on Twitch as much, but in other spaces, yeah.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah. I know if I got a boob job, for example, my viewers would probably jump up quite a bit. Like
Same.
unironically.
Same.
Because it's like if you're a political female streamer, you're already pretty rare in the space. So there's just a lot of like kind of like sapiosexual men that are into that. So then if you like hyper accentuate certain hyper feminine traits, guys like to listen to pretty girls talk about ideas that they like too.
Are they listening? No, I'm so sorry.
Some of them are.
That's the thing. Like you get extra attention, but then people aren't listening. But it's more attention than before. You know, like a lot of the people that are coming in just to look at your armpits, some of them will be listening and some of them won't. You know,
well, they'll raise the viewer count, and then more people will pop in who will listen.
I don't think being sexualized by somebody means that they mutually exclusively can't listen to you as well.
Yeah.
I have tons of viewers, for example, who fucking hated me, and they hate watched me, and now they love me because they just like were so mad. I have a couple streamer friends, yeah, who like fucking hated me, and then they stuck around. So I think like the sexuality is going to give you a boost in exposure and probably increase the likelihood that they will linger around and give you a little bit of grace for saying like dumb shit that they don't like, but they might be like, yeah, but she's cute, so I'm not ready to leave. But I don't think that just because they like look at a girl and go, you know, if they go like, Icebeans is super hot, that doesn't mean that they just like will not process her words. There's sometimes that risk, but I don't think there's a problem with saying that because you're sexually objectified, that there's just no way that you're also humanized. I don't think that that's actually true.
Let me ask this. Do you think that leaning into sexuality, right, gives people kind of a license to be more sexual towards women online? Do you think it's reinforcing these kind of some would say harmful norms, right? Like where if you're a woman and just wanting to live your life, people feel totally okay, for example, coming into a woman's chat and asking, hey, what's your OnlyFans? Right? That's been normalized online. And I've talked to a lot of women who hate that, right? Who hate it. So do you think that by leaning into your sexuality, you are reinforcing these harmful kind of stereotypes and things like that?
The issue is, I think we are inclined to malign things that sometimes do harm that are better left at like people being messy and complicated and imperfect. a guy jumping into a girl stream and asking about OnlyFans is being like a bit of a dunce, but it's not like the most awful heuristic because a lot of girls promote their OnlyFans through other streaming medias. Like that's a pretty standard approach because if you want your OnlyFans to be successful, you're going to want to maximize exposure and realize OnlyFans isn't the best for exposure, right? TikTok and like Twitch streaming and stuff is going to be a little bit better for that. So it's like the heuristic is cringe, right? It's still cringe. I don't want to assign malicious or like problematic intent where like just him being a dumb fuck is like probably sufficient to explain the behavior, if that makes sense.
Well, also like the other thing too is that when we say like that we're using when you ask like whether we use our sexuality to our like benefit in this regard, right? You kind of have to. I like would want to know what are you talking about, right? Because I mean, obviously, there's a choice between, say, like wearing a tank top that would maybe accentuate your cleavage. It could just be me wearing a tank top, right?
Well, no.
or,
Then
like,
let me ask directly: do you ever dress in a provocatively sexual manner, like to accentuate, right, your secondary sexual characteristics, in order doing so for the explicit intent of I want more viewers, so I'm gonna make sure that my assets are highlighted in this.
Every single day.
Well,
Every single day.
I
Okay.
do that it's weird because I do that like on every other corner of the internet but Twitch. Like when I like wear like a bra on Twitch, I feel really uncomfortable. But like on Twitter, I'm like posting like lewds and shit or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? So it's like it's different for me. It's weird for me because I don't like being spoken to like that on Twitch in any way whatsoever. Because this is like, I just want to hang out with some homies, play some games, and chill out. But on other corners of the internet, I get it. I expect it. Like on my Instagram, on my Twitter, on TikTok, whatever. I know I'm going to get comments like that. But when people come over to my Twitch, I'm like, ah, fuck, man. Come on. We're just playing games.
Any other?
Yeah.
Go on. But then I want to see if Smith has anything else before we move on.
Yeah, I think I mean, it's weird because like for my part, you know, when I just stream normally on Twitch, I'm kind of just wearing whatever. It's a clean T-shirt or I need a hoodie because I'm cold. You know, maybe I'll
Hoodie gang,
I'll put
represent.
on some.
Yeah,
I'm in
okay,
my
gotcha.
pajamas right
Yeah,
now.
hoodie.
Like,
Right. And you know, sometimes like for panels, I do what I do for any other like event. Like I'm going to have dinner. I'm going to put on some makeup. I'm going to put on some nice clothes. And so that's kind of how I see it. I don't necessarily see it as I'm wearing a dress that's going to get me the attention. So I guess that's where I struggle to see like the difference between making myself look like more nicer than normal, and I'm doing this for specifically the viewers. Because like technically when I get dressed to go out for dinner, I am looking to look nice, not only for myself but for the people that I'm hanging out with, right? So I guess that's the separation that I'm kind of struggling
Gotcha.
to.
it's weird because I genuinely do both of those. Like when I put on my makeup, like this was for fun for me today. But like again, when I'm on other parts of the internet, I'm dressing up specifically to get like extra attention, to like funnel people to like only dubs and shit, so I can make money. But like when I'm like going out to dinner, it's for me. But when I'm like in other spaces of the internet, I'm trying to get other people's attention because I need to make money.
Lilmole, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think going back to the original question, I definitely do like sex myself up for my stream. I want people to click on my stream if that's gonna help them click. But I also don't care if people come into my stream and are like, wow, nice boobs. Like, I'm not gonna ban you. I'm not gonna be offended. I'm expecting that kind of response.
God, you're so professionally honest. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Like, I think that I'm not like gonna sit there and like I'm super covered up right now. I would never stream like this. Well, I would, but like I would not have this many buttons up.
So wait, did you make yourself professional, more professional, quote unquote,
So
for this?
how
Or?
stupid would I be if I got on stream and I have all my buttons down and I'm like, did you seriously just ask me if I have an OnlyFans? I look like I have an OnlyFans. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so to me, I'm not offended by that, and I'm not offended if someone wants to be like sexual. I think there's a line if I want to talk about something else, you know, and all you've said for 400 fucking messages is nice rack. Yeah, I might give you a timeout, like just because I don't want to read it. But I don't know. I think I'm fully aware of what I'm doing, so I'm not gonna play like victim. Like, oh man,
Okay, Smith,
Yeah.
we got a line. Anything? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna answer as well, if that's okay.
Please. Yes,
I think
please.
I wish that I could be as like honest as 𝕏𝖏ole with myself. I would say sometimes I'm really comfortable. I'm feeling hot today. I want to look good. So I put on an outfit, to be honest, like this outfit I would wear out, right? It's not like a special outfit for streaming, but it's clearly more sexed up than like when I go on stream and I have like no makeup on and I'm just like chilling in my like glasses and stuff. Like clearly. And so did I think about it specifically today, being like, I want to be sexed up for stream? Not really. There's something for me to think about. Be like, but I am on a panel with a bunch of girls talking about women and sexuality. That's interesting that I like did my makeup extra level today. Wore my push-up bra. Interesting choices, Kyla. So I wish that I could be more comfortable and basically being like, how many buttons do I want to do up today? Do I want to be like a sex pistol or do I not? And I think that there's something really valuable about women being able to do that. And I really find it cringy when we like shame it. And because we shame it, women feel like they have to be dishonest about it. Where like, if I'm like wearing a crop top and a push-up bra, I'm like, no, I'm not trying to be sexy. What do you mean? And everyone's like, are you sure about that one? So yeah, I don't know.
That stuff drives me crazy. Like if someone's like has like a reward redemption that's like doing a squat or something, like, why are you sexualizing me? Just be for real with yourself for 4 seconds.
Right.
Just 4.
Just
Right,
4 seconds.
And that's the tension and the trade-off is like, sometimes it's fun to lean into sexuality, but sometimes it's annoying. Like the armpit meme is annoying, right?
Yeah.
I just deal with it by
Yeah.
making a meme out of it, because if I get annoyed by it, it's going to ramp it up in a different direction. But the fact that like some men have the audacity to think that me relieving neck injury pain, I live in chronic pain. Like it's cringe. The reason they think I'm sexing up my armpits is because I live in constant pain from my like spine compressing my nerve. So I'm raising my arms to release the pain a little bit. And they like men have the audacity to just like not just assume, because at first I denied it and it didn't matter. If I denied it, people were even more sure that this is what's going on. So it's like, it's better to meme about it, but it's a little cringe that like, you just feel so entitled that any movement that I do that looks atypical to you, you're assuming it's for your sexual gratification. So there's this annoying tension that you have as a woman where it's like, yeah, sometimes I am sexing up and sometimes I'm not. And it is annoying when you can't tell the difference. And I understand why you can't tell the difference, but it's still fucking annoying,
I think to extend on notsoErudite's point, like I think the part that it's annoying for me on my end is that like that's kind of a thing that I heard the thing that I heard about notsoErudite, and that's kind of like the a latter consequence of that, right? Where this is presented to me as just an attribute of notsoErudite, that she raises her arms in order to get attention. And that's I would say that's like sort of a latter problematic knock-on effect, maybe.
Okay.
It's also weird to be happening in leftist circles where like, if any space should be okay with me getting sexual attention because I want it, probably should be leftist spaces, but that's aside.
Smith, that was a great question. Anything else before we send you off? We do have a line.
From the male perspective, the reason that men like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because like I'm sure there are men that'll like it's really good to be able to be honest about this kind of stuff, and then there's men that are gonna be like, oh, you're sexing yourself up, you're trying to take advantage of me, and then if you don't, no matter what you do, you can't avoid it. People are always going to objectify you no matter what. And so like, if it makes perfect sense to you to be like, well, at least I can get something out of it, because there's no way out no matter what you do. Like even if you're just typing in a chat, it just text. As soon as people realize you're a woman, they're gonna like, oh, it's a woman, and everything you say is now like treated different. So
I think there's some things you can do. For example, when I first started in the space, like the reason why I'm saying like I really, really appreciate what 𝕏𝖏ole's saying and her like comfortability is that like I come from like fundy Christian land where I'm super prudy and like nervous about sexuality, right? And so when I first started in this space, to be honest, I got almost zero I to this day have never been sent actually, that's not true. I've been sent one dick pic and it was from a woman, which was really weird. It's never happened in my life. And what I realized is that when I went out of my way to intentionally be slightly more sexual, to make more sexual jokes, to kind of like lean into some like sexual memes, some of the sexual commentary towards me has ramped up in preponderance with what I expect. And so I don't, just to be clear, I have no idea what I was doing magically at the beginning of my stream and like through most of my life that seemed to give off vibes to men pretty clearly of like, don't. So I'm not blaming other women, for example, who do get it when they don't want to. I don't know what I was doing. Probably I have a really intense face and I look mean and I'm very, very articulate. So they're like, oh, she might like report me. I probably have like Karen energy or something. I'm not sure. But there is this distinct shape. So to some extent, like women do have some power and control over the extent to which it occurs. It just can be frustrating because sometimes it means like limiting outfits that you just like to wear because that outfit is inherently also more sexual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Smith, thank you for the questions. And we're going to
Welcome.
say good night to the void with Smith.
Good
But yeah,
night.
no, there's a lot there, right? About, right? So when males say, right, you were taking advantage of me, you're specifically targeting me to get money from me. Yes. I mean, in a lot of cases, yes, right? But I, as a man, will specifically target my audience to give me money. I play into what they want. I just don't use my sexuality to do it, right? But I absolutely am targeting my audience to get the money. So I guess what is the difference, right? What's the difference between if I was a nice looking lady, right? Versus me just being kind of a silly looking dude, right? Like,
I would say that the assumption is that, like, you know, somehow using your sexuality to this degree, like, to that extent is, like, somehow, like, wrong. Like maybe, I don't know if people are kind of assuming that I should just be pulling people based on, like, me wearing a t-shirt, messy hair, like, you know, just pearly thing style, like, you know, I don't know if that's kind of what people are expecting. Because maybe there are other streamers, or maybe there are other male streamers even, who kind of just show up with like t-shirts that with like poles in them or something, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's kind of what they're expecting, or but it is very much a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
okay, let's bring on the next guest. There's quite a few people. We'll get to as many as we can. Let's bring on the next person. And gang, if you want to super chat and actually give me money to ask questions, that would be nice. I would like that.
Give Wick money.
True. Hello. You're live.
Hey,
I like your name.
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So my question actually had you guys talked about. You touched on it with Phil's last question, but I've been getting in a lot of Twitter arguments about what is sexual. It's mostly around like the trans issue, and I kind of had to come up with a formula to determine whether something is sexual or not, and a lot of it has to do with intent for me. Like you can have two people doing the same thing, and whether they intend it on being sexual or not is going to be a large determining factor on whether it should be taken as sexual. What do y'all think about that?
So could you restate the question more simply? Or maybe I'm dumb. Maybe somebody else understood and I'll just listen. Sorry.
I'm a little confused.
I think he's
Okay, so-
asking.
so-
Oh no, go ahead.
So, like, you could have two women who have the exact same shirt on, and one woman could have put it on
Two
for
women,
reasons
nice. Go on.
because she just likes the shirt. She thinks she looks cute in it. And another woman could have been putting it on because she's trying to sexually attract a specific person. And I think the intent there is a lot to do with whether or not it should be considered a sexual thing. And I think a lot of that plays into like dancing, where you have a lot of dances that can be seen as really, really sexual, but it's really not. If you actually talk to the dancers, there wasn't anything sexual about it to them. But those same dances could be really sexual to two other dancers who are doing the exact same things.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I guess. Sorry, I didn't want to like jump in.
No.
But...
Yeah, that's a tricky one, I'd say. I don't know that, like, I mean, I guess you can say that intent matters, but also I mean, it kind of depends on this. I can't say that that's the only thing that matters, right? Because, like, something can be, like, you know, if, like, 9 people out of 10 in a room say, okay, that's kind of, like, sexually explicit. Not explicit, but, like, that's more sexually explicit than the average thing. Then there might be something to that, regardless of why the person wore the thing, right? But that's just me. I think that that's a tricky question.
I think it's
So,
hard to
go ahead.
disentangle. One thing I was going to add to this, it's really hard to disentangle. When I say something like, I look cute in this, for me, it's really hard to separate me from I look sexually attractive in this. But to me, they're kind of the same thing. I'm not saying that that's for everyone, but when I really look at things that I think are cute specifically, it tends to be things that make me look better, right? So it works to my body shape well. It tends to make me look in the mirror and I think that I look more attractive. And when I say attractive, I realize that that's probably informed by like societal beauty standards, which is going to be somewhat hyper feminized, like very eye wings, breasts, hips, those sorts of things. And so I like notice all these things. When I'm feeling most attractive, I know that there's a pattern that I also often look like most sexually attractive because it's really hard to separate these two things, especially with like humans, right? Like something that's visually appealing and also therefore sexually appealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finish up, but like.
Nope, that's it.
Does anyone think like sexuality only depends on intent? I think that's just. I'm sorry, dude, but that's dumb.
No, so I don't think it only depends on intent. Like,
okay.
For me, something like if your dance move is specifically like humping something, which is a pretty
like
explicit
daggering?
sex move.
Yeah.
That's probably a sexual thing. If you're drawing like on a lot of attention to sex organs, I don't include the butt in this, but like your genitals.
Why don't
that's
you
probably
include the butt in this? First of all, whoa! Why are we including the ass? We can never not include the ass. Thank you for the bit, stabby stitches. But yeah, the butt.
There are dance moves in which you are moving your butt in certain ways, and it's not meant to be a sexual thing.
So is your question about dance or aesthetic?
I think I'm still
well,
confused.
just anything, like just the general concept of sexuality.
Okay, you want me to say it for my chest?
Sexual?
I think anything that is self-evidently sexual that everyone in our society would say, that's kind of sexual, which is societally determined, is sexual, and people cope about it and be like, it's not sexual. It fucking is. I'm sorry. If everyone looks at it and daggering looks like you're humping somebody, even if you're claiming it's not sexual, it's just cultural, that's fine. In this culture, it is also sexual. Here's the thing, pro tip, being sexual is fine. It's really not a big deal. That would be like my perception of it, is that like people kind of cope about it sometimes of being like, it's not sexual. And it's like, well, it looks sexual in our society. Maybe it's not in your culture, and that's totally fine. But when it's brought like in a different culture, then it is, right? So yeah.
So you're saying that it depends on the culture, really?
The culture and the perception. It's almost like it's in the eye of the beholder.
Like
it's always gonna be cultural, right? Like okay, so for example, I'm South Asian, right? And I wasn't allowed to shave my legs for the longest time. And worse, so me shaving my legs was actually considered like you're making yourself look like sexually attractive to somebody else. And so that's why it might be restricted by particularly strict parents or just like regular parents because it's South Asian culture. So, yeah. But here it's not obviously like the standard is there for women to have shaved legs and stuff, right? But it's not. I wouldn't say that it has the same degree of like sexualization. So yeah, I think it is dependent on the culture. Like if I was raised here, I would not have that like hang up or anything about shaving my legs. Or at least I wouldn't have the same hang up.
Well, I want to give space to, if 𝕾𝖍 or Sadkitcat wants to jump in on this. If you don't, that's cool, right?
I'm still a little confused.
Yeah, I'm a little.
I'm sorry.
It's about, so he's asking basically, okay, say I'm going to give you guys a hypothetical world, okay? It's going to be fun. So in Narnia, there's a dance move that's called 𝕵𝖎king, and it's where you shake your ass, you relax it, and your ass cheeks go up and down like crazy. But it's not sexual. It's a pagan ritual to worship the blubber god. However, you move from Narnia to North America, and you begin to 𝕵𝖎k. And everyone says, that's really sexual. And you go, no, it's not sexual. I'm worshiping my god, 𝕵𝖎, or whatever I called him. The question is it sexual anyways? Or is it not sexual because you're not intending it sexually?
Probably still pretty sexual.
If people were perceiving it as sexual, it's probably like still sexual, right?
Yeah, that's basically the question. Or is because they're not intending their 𝕵𝖎king to be sexual, is it therefore now not sexual?
Okay, as the man on the panel, I approve that answer. That is correct. It is still sexual. But anyway.
So for me, if you have somebody, I'm sorry. If you have somebody who's in one culture that thinks that something like 𝕵𝖎king isn't sexual and their kids are 𝕵𝖎king, and then somebody from the culture that does think it's sexual, they're now looking at these kids in a sexual way, which I think is more on the onus is more on the people that are seeing these kids as a sexual thing, to not do that.
I just wouldn't say so. Here's the issue with cultures even, is say I'm the Narnian, right? And I work all the time and I insist that it's not sexual. How do I know that my culture isn't fucking coping too? Because like, let's go to Victorian England. There's so many things that emerged out of Victorian England that they would swear was not sexual, but then you look at it. Like, have you guys ever heard of like the Albert Einstein dick piercing and where that came from? It was like to move the dick around to certain positions to appear such a way. And they're like, we swear it's not
The
sexual.
Albert
It's like,
Einstein
bitch, yes it is. You're
dick
just lying.
Are you talking about the Prince Albert?
Yeah, the purpose for it was to put a hoop
Oh.
through the penis. So
Yeah,
could
you
move
called
it.
it the Albert Einstein. It's a Prince Albert.
Oh, sorry, I have a TBI. I word
Oh,
swap.
fair,
That's
fair,
my
fair.
bad.
No,
Yeah.
I love it. I love
Albert
it.
Einstein.
Now it is the Albert Einstein, though.
The Prince Albert is what I meant to say.
I love it. Okay.
The Prince Albert, yeah, not the Albert Einstein. Easy to swap.
Okay.
So that's an issue. Is the working actually not sexual, or is my culture lying? And the priests of 𝕵𝖔𝖎 designed the work so they could watch a bunch of thick young girls work, and they're like, no, it's not sexual. And then they go back to their like temple room and fucking jerk off to all the working, right? Like I don't know how much cultures are coping when they say something's not sexual, and then you look at it and it's like, but it kind of is. You're moving secondary sex characteristics and sexual emotions, like lots of like these or like back and forth. Like these are all generally kind of sexual movements.
To actually
Clearly, I'm a good dancer. Also,
one thing that might like maybe like an example that's not women, right? Is that I forget what it's called, but it's the Jewish like baby ritual. I think it is part of it.
Circumcision?
Yeah, so but isn't there like the mohel part of it that's like with wait, I need to look this up, but it's like it's the controversial thing where they put their mouth on the baby's
oh yeah, where they with the foreskin, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I forget what that's called, but like would you say that? Would somebody say that's because that to me that's like even if they weren't doing it in a sexual manner, I would consider that sexual. I mean, I have like I don't know. What do y'all think? Like because that to me that's.
Not gonna lie, I haven't thought about it.
I don't know where that would fall. It's kind of sexual because they're like touching sexual body parts, but it's like sexual body parts after and it's after it's been removed. Don't they do it after the foreskin's been removed?
It's like for the for blood removal or something like that.
Yeah, and so it's like, is it as sexual now that it's been like it's more like bordering on cannibalistic? So like taking a removed body part and putting it to their lips. Like I don't know. I'm not sure where I fall into it.
Small Peanut says most Jews disavow that.
Yeah, it's a super
I think that's
see
that's the thing for me is that like obviously it's not something that's necessarily like explained away by everybody. But I just thought it was interesting.
Okay.
Isn't nudity? Isn't like nudity a thing that can either be sexual or not sexual, just depending on what the intent is and the context of what's going on?
It's not the intent, my guy. It's not the intent, right?
Yeah, so if I'm on a nude beach, I could be sexualizing the hell out of everyone I see, or I could just be like, I'm on a nude beach, this is what it is.
Have you ever been on a nude beach?
I haven't.
Okay, so it's a really weird experience where you assume that it is going to be sexual. I remember like the first time I went to a nude beach, and this woman walked up, gorgeous, very nice breasts, all exposed. And I realized it wasn't that sexual. Like I could look at them and be like, I appreciate those. She looks good. But it wasn't any more sexual than if she was like in a bikini and I looked at her and I thought, wow, this is a really hot chick. So that was my experience, and that's been a lot of people I've talked to who's been to a nude beach. But again, that's because like culturally normed, the nakedness hasn't been sexualized. Even though like the body parts, I imagine if she started twerking, I would have like felt a little bit differently, right?
This is a hot take, and I know this is probably beyond the scope. But before we let you go, hot take: you don't get to choose whether people sexualize you or not. It's not your choice. People will sexualize you, right? Whether you want them to or not, you don't. You don't get to.
That's true, but you can discourage it. I mean,
you can discourage, right?
Women like the culture discourages
people doing their brains, right? Like people are gonna think whatever the fuck they want to think. You can't tell them what to think.
Of course you can, but like at one point, showing your ankles was a sexual thing for women. And like we discourage that kind of thinking on the man's part, and now culturally we're just like, oh yeah, that's not a sexual thing.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
because
So
people
it's like,
have
we can't
decided,
control, but
the culture has changed, right? We've decided it is
Yeah.
not, right? But the person who shows ankle doesn't get to decide. The culture gets to decide. The person doing it has no choice.
Oh, of course, but like we did that by putting the onus on the
Okay.
people that was sexualizing the ankle to not do that anymore.
Sure.
But are you saying that we then choose to? No, I lost it.
Yeah, what are you wanting from this? I'm not sure what you're trying to argue for now.
Yeah, like what's your point like there?
I think that there are a lot of things that people think are sexual that really doesn't have to be, and we sexualize too much in this culture, and we probably should change that.
Well, the problem isn't sexualizing. The problem is acting on it when it's unwanted. I don't care if somebody objectifies me and they keep it in their brain at all. I don't care if you're old, fat, ugly, man, woman, non-man. I don't give a fuck. But we do care when you take your sexual objectification and you put it in my face, right? That's where people like start having issues with it. And so it's like the sexualization isn't the problem itself. It's the feeling that you get to like act basically externally on the other person as a result of that sexualization. But the issue is that's a different conversation as well.
Exactly. Well, thank you for calling in. We do got a line. I got to get to the other people. Bye-bye.
Sorry, that was a good question though, because I have more thoughts on that.
No, I actually think this might be a future topic because I have thoughts on it, and I think it's
I think
it's a good one.
I'd be down.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that's a topic. Again, nope, we're gonna move on to before I get stuck. I'll get stuck.
This is free content.
Yeah, we're gonna loop if we keep going on this because I'd be stuck, right? I'll be stuck on this for a while.
No.
Let's get to the next person, and if we need to come back to this, we can.
We're trucking along.
Okay, here's a change of pace for us.
Ooh, Miss Millie.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hey. How's it going?
How's it
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So I was calling in because I kind of noticed a little bit earlier. I had a question on this. What are your thoughts when you do sexualize yourself on the internet? And then do you think you have any right to then, after sexualizing yourself on the internet, regardless of the platform, to then tell people not to sexualize you afterwards?
Isn't it like a whole consent thing? It's like I can say no when I want to. Like if I take away my consent, like if I don't want you to sexualize me, like if I don't want you to act weird towards me at this moment in time, then bugger off, bud.
I guess Miss Millie, what can you maybe like give an example? Because I think that's what the example is like how I would determine it. But go ahead.
Yeah, so say you post revealing photos on like Twitter, or you have an OnlyFans. So you're consistently like posting sexualized content, and then you get upset if somebody comes into like your Twitch stream, and then they talk about you in a sexual manner.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like a time and a place thing, right? Like if I post that photo on Twitter and you want to comment that on Twitter, sure. But if I'm on Twitch and I'm playing Sims, and I'm trying to up my cooking skill, and you come in like your tits look great, like I'm working on my cooking skill. Like, what is this like? What do you like? It's. I think it's just a time and a place thing, and it's also like when I'm on Twitch, I'm not trying to advertise myself. I'm not trying to get those kind of comments. I'm just trying to like hang out. Whereas on Twitter, like I totally get it. I get why you're talking to me that way. I have no problem. Whereas on Twitch, I'm just like, fuck, like this is like I just want to turn on my camera and chill. I get why they're coming in because they might be coming in from other spaces and saying that, but I just like in this specific space, that's not like what I want to be hearing from my chatters. I just like I'm trying to like make friends and like play games and hang out, not talk about my fucking butthole. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
I think everyone's entitled to their boundaries.
Have a separation. No, you're entitled to your boundaries for sure, but I don't think it should be like the most shocking thing if someone's coming
No,
from your
yeah, I'm not
Twitter.
shocked. I'm not shocked.
You know what I
I'm not,
mean? Like,
but I'm,
you're so
Especially
valid,
if you're bringing people in, that you're presenting yourself in this form of content, and then
yeah,
you get
I don't
upset whenever
advertise
they
my
come
Twitch
in.
on other places really that though.
Not to say that you are, but if anybody is doing it, say a person is advertising themselves in a sexual manner and saying, hey, come check out my Twitch, and then you're not posting yourself within a sexualized manner, and then you get upset about that, that's probably like false advertisement, one, and two, like you're setting up this expectation,
Well,
and then
Twitch
you're
isn't a
shitting
sexual
on.
website. If it was like my free cams and then I got pissed about it, that would make sense. But this is a gaming website. Like this is like a
if you
gaming
present
like
yourself in a
chatting.
sexual manner somewhere else, and you say, hey, now come onto my Twitch, they have this expectation that you're going to be doing this, and then you get upset about at them for doing it, and then you ban someone or something of this nature, then they're going to be sitting there being like, well,
I'm not
the one
just
that
like straight
presented
up
it
like
in this
banning
manner.
people. I'm just saying like I'll like tell people like, hey, this isn't the space for it. Like we're just hanging out. Like if you're looking to like talk to me that way, like go to a different platform. But if you continue to do that here, then I'll ban you.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's fair. I think it's fair to be like, hey, I'm not really interested in this conversation. But I don't think it's fair to be like, are you fucking serious? You came in here talking about my ass pic? Like, you know, but I think it's okay to have boundaries on your own platform.
I've seen this happen before, where it's you present yourself in a sexual manner, tits out, this, that, and the other thing, like, you know, hypersexualized, and then you get upset. Well, men are coming in here and sexualizing me. I'm sorry, sweetheart, but you posted yourself in a sexual manner.
That's not why I'm upset. I'm not upset that they're I'm upset that when I tell them to stop, they continue.
Yeah.
That's why I'm upset. Like if you come in and like come in with like a sexual comment, like okay, like sure, whatever. But like if you continue and like keep trying to hit on me and like trying to get me to like sex with you like live on air, or, like say some fucking shit, or like I'm not interested in that. I don't want to do that with you. Like I'm getting upset because I feel like they're not respecting my boundaries. Like you need to chill out.
A small,
Not you, like the
just
men,
a
not
small
you.
interjection.
question.
Yes, small interjection because someone paid me to say this, and I'm sorry. Okay, but they paid me $25. Lionel Johnson did nothing wrong. Also, notsoErudite said there will be cute girls. AMA. So when will they come? Won't trust her again. Sorry, apologize.
Damn.
Imagine spending 3 hours working at your minimum wage job to pay Wick to just make a nasty roast towards like 4 internet girls that you'll never meet.
That's so funny.
That in life would never even look at you. You're like, I got him.
The best winner here.
Yo, I'll take your money.
Always.
Okay, I have a
Anyway.
question for Miss
Yeah.
Millie. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that's I don't know what to call you, Sadkitcat. Do you want me to call you Sadkitcat?
Oh, you
or
can call me Julie. That's my name.
Julie? Okay.
Julie.
Do you feel that Julie, after she sexualized herself, when she's open that she sexualizes herself on Twitter and stuff like that, do you feel like that at any point she gets to now say to people, in this venue, I do not like to be sexualized, and kind of like establish that line? Do you think that because you've publicly sexualized yourself in one space, you're now open to being sexualized and talked at sexually anywhere and everywhere that you are in a public space?
No. So I get that you can definitely set boundaries. I totally understand that aspect, and I agree with that aspect. I don't disagree, but what I was specifically asking is in the cases where you post yourself in a sexual manner, then instantly get upset and then ban someone in the case of they come in and treat you in a sexual manner when you do post yourself like that, right? And it's, oh, these men are sexualizing me. How dare they? You know, but
I think if you're instantly banning someone, it's a different like situation. If you're like actually getting like pissed off and banning them, yeah, it's a different But for me personally, like I'll like let it slide and like tell them like don't do that before I like get serious about it, because I know that they're coming from different platforms or whatever the fuck, or like even if they're not,
they're going to be viewing you. Their first impression of you is going to be a sexual manner. So then they're going to be coming in treating you in a sexual way. So if you then explain to them afterwards, yeah, like I get that. But to be immediately upset over something of this nature, like you presented yourself, you put yourself out there in that way.
Sometimes it's annoying though. Like it's not even about like being like a sex worker on other platforms. Like even if I was like not doing sex work, I was totally covered up. Like even as a girl, you still have to deal with that type of shit sometimes, and it can be like frustrating.
Totally aware. Yeah. I've been treated that way before, and I'm totally aware. You can literally be a female existing on the internet or in IRL and be treated in an extremely sexual manner, and you don't want that. Like I'm well aware.
So is the problem if you ban them right away, or what's?
Well, the
get
issue is,
extremely upset or
if I could
whatnot.
balance this, A, you get to feel any way you like about anything because feelings are just feelings. It doesn't matter. They're just feelings. The question is actually the reaction, right? And I would agree with you, Miss Millie. The best practice would be to be like, hey, just so you know, that's not what I do here. Boundary. Please don't do it again or I'll ban you. That is best practice. But humans get a margin of error, which means that sometimes I'm sure Julie has gotten it like 18 times in a single stream. And she's like, man, fuck y'all. And she just bans them. And would it be better if every single time she was perfectly maximally graceful because she understands why they're coming here?
Yeah,
yes.
but emotions get in play, obviously, in front of logic. We're totally aware of this. But I see this happening, and it's not even just in a case of, oh, it happened multiple times in a same stream, or in these cases, it happens, and it's an instant reaction when you've set yourself up for something of this nature to occur.
Yep. There's some girls that are like,
I mean, you could also just be like having a bad day, right? And be like, fuck, I don't want to see that shit right now. Like, I just came on here to play games.
And I'm sure we'd all agree that there are some cringe bitches who unironically do this, where they'll like walk into the gym with like a skin tight outfit with their like tits like pushed up maximally. They've got the booty, not just tight shorts, but the booty shorts, the ones that make you look extra thick, right? And then they walk in, guys check them out, and then they post on their Instagram, Feral, how fucking dare they look at me? And it's like, bruh, come on, right? Like girls do this as well. It's just, it doesn't seem like that's Julie's modus operandi. And I think it seems like everyone on the panel would agree. It's a little bit cringe when girls just like immediately jump to like jumping down men's throats when they're like,
yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is like a hot take for me to say or anything, but if you don't want people's first initial impression to be of you to be in a hypersexualized manner, probably don't post these massive tits all over the place, your ass hanging out.
But a lot of these girls do want that to be the first impression.
Yeah,
in some cases.
But I'm saying specifically for those that don't want that reaction, right?
Sure.
They don't want that to be the impression that is presented or out there on the internet. So
sure, but the issue that some girls are dealing with, like Julie, is like, imagine she's a stripper on the weekend, but she works a desk job during the day. She doesn't really want her clients coming to like her like chiropractor's office where she works and be like, "Hey, girl, nice rack. Can I give you $250 for a lap job?" And she's like, "Bro, I'm at a chiropractor. I see how I look like I want to, right?" So it's like the time and place, which is why I would say it's a little bit socially unsophisticated of men to like see a girl being like sexy in one space and then go to another space when she's dressed in her pajamas and be like, "Hey, baby, you want to hit things up?" It's a little bit socially unsophisticated. It's not the end of the world.
Obviously, there's a time and a place for these things. I totally understand that.
A lot of stuff is just like human messiness, though. I just not moralized either way.
Social fucking cues. Be aware. Obviously.
Yes, true.
Anything else from you, Miss Miller? Oh, go on.
No,
please.
that's it.
I was just gonna say, to cap it off, like, you know, if you're coming in and you're seeing Julie like in her pajamas with like, you know, cat headbands on or something like that, you know, think about that. Like, if you see her if the context in which you normally see her is like, you know, booty shorts and like bikinis and like on Instagram, and you come in and you see her in a completely different context, like, maybe don't start out with the sexualized comments, right? Like, you maybe like recognize, like, oh, I'm seeing you in a completely different context. That means I treat you differently.
Yeah, it comes same thing. It comes down to social cues and being aware. And this is for the people that are posting their content as well as people coming and watching the content.
Okay, Millie, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Though.
Thanks, Miss Millie.
To the void. But that is an interesting question overall, right?
Yeah,
like,
go
on.
I was just saying that was good. That was a good conversation. I like that.
Yeah. You know what? Almost all my conversations are good conversations on WhickTV, and that's why you should give me money, gang. You should support this content if you like this content. Send me bits, send me gift subs, right? All of that really helps. Super chats. I'll read what you say, right? So
if you have any more dumb roasts like the last one, like that would be good if you're gonna give Wick money for it.
True. Let's bring on the next contestant on this. How can we make can we ask an interesting question without making it weird? That's a game. Let's play. Hello.
Oh, it's Bobinski. Hey, bud.
You're live and muted on your end, not mine.
Damn.
Rest in peace.
Here he is. Hello.
Here I am. Okay.
You're
Okay,
live.
perfect. So I do want to say first of all that I'm just gonna jump into it. I do agree that there are a lot of men on the internet with misogynistic tendencies, but hold on, let me mute the stream in the background real quick. Sorry.
All good. Do your thing.
Okay.
Letting us hang on that
So-
butt though.
So yeah, I do agree that there are a lot of men on the internet with misogynistic tendencies, but I do also think that there are spaces on the internet for women that kind of magnify and try to make men seem worse than they actually are. For example, the whole fiasco with the gym situation where they record people and try to make them seem like creeps. So I just wanted to hear you guys' opinion on that.
Maybe somebody who has more experience with the gym stuff can you clarify
Or
that
not
for me?
even-
Or can you
Not
It's the
even
girl
the-
that was recording it. She's like, it sounds like she's got SA history, so she gets a little bit triggered. A guy comes over. She like notices him checking her out while she's doing, I think, hip thrusts. And then he kind of wanders over and starts moving her plates. I think as a way to like bridge getting a chance to talk to her and hit on her. It's pretty clear that he's into her. And she's recording him like glancing over twice and goes like, "Feral, feral, feral," like, oh my, and like makes a really big deal of it. And kind of the internet all like, at first she kind of got Yas queened, and then the internet like snapped down on her really hard and were like, this is insane.
Or just real quick before you guys go, I'm not even just speaking specifically about the gym stuff. I also think just on the internet in general, there's spaces for women that try to make guys seem worse than they actually are.
Mhm.
That's what I personally believe. So I just want to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, I would
Do women make men like? Are women the enemy? Do they make men feel purposely bad?
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. I
see
think
how
a
that
lot of women
happens,
have like
yeah.
trauma and stuff, and then they maybe in some ways haven't worked past it. Like, I mean, I deal with that problem a lot. Like, I have a lot of trauma, and like it's hard for me to get like. Sometimes men are just scary, man. Like they don't mean to be. It's just a big burly man outside my car at 10 o'clock at night, and I feel like I can't get out of the car. Like, but that's not his fault. That's like sometimes it's like your own shit you have to work past. But I feel like it can get everything on the internet gets like, it can get like amplified.
Before we go too far, 2 super chats on my end. From our old friend. notsoErudite conveniently avoided the Lionel Johnson issue. Typical. And then Mudit
I don't know what
Agarwal.
Lionel Johnson is.
Warhammer. Mudit Agarwal says, "Little late to the party. Shut up and take my money." Yes, sir. I will. Okay. But I guess. Well, let me ask it this way, right? Because this is an interesting question. Do you think that women weaponize the fact that there are misogynists, right, out there that will treat them poorly? Do you think that they weaponize this fact in order to gain sympathy, attention, clicks, views, etc.? Do you think this is an actual problem, or do you think this is just one-offs? We should ignore that, etc. What are you thinking?
I definitely think there are people who capitalize on it, right? Like I do remember seeing a TikTok of this woman who basically like, this man like just approached her in the parking lot and she like turned around and like unloaded on him. I think you might know what I'm talking about, Sadkitcat or anyone else.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
And
about.
it was also like everyone was like, everyone was obviously calling her out on it because it was just like a dude, like she didn't know why he was approaching her. This was broad daylight. She had her kid in the car, but apart from that, like there was zero reason for her to absolutely like go like fucking sicko on this guy. And she basically told him, "You do not approach people," and it's like, what? So I think that like I undoubtedly there's I'm sure there's a market for that sort of content.
Yeah, I think like that woman in particular probably had past trauma that she hadn't worked through, and that's why she was so afraid.
Right.
Especially like with a child by her, because like women are like not women, but like anyone is very protective over their child.
Right.
So I think she just like got emotional over it and then kept going with it because I don't know, like I don't know how to explain it.
Well,
I
but
think
also, like,
there's-
I don't know that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you.
no, finish up.
But like, I guess I don't know. Like, I can't speak because I'm not really like on TikTok to this level. But like, I don't know that there's like a plethora of women who do this for the content specifically, right? Like, yeah, you could probably look at this woman and see the hate that she's getting, and like, probably like her reaction to the hate, because that's probably a little bit more informative. You know, to see whether she might have actually had trauma. But apart from that, like, you don't really know whether this person has had that trauma. So, I guess is it prevalent? Is this kind of content prevalent?
I would say so. One thing that I think that goes on a lot of time is there's kind of like this systemic pattern where right now I would say there's no social optic L's you can take by shitting on particularly like straight white men. You can pretty much say anything you want about them, and nobody's going to be like, "Whoa, like that's a little like yikesy to say."
Let's make this a
𝕬𝖎
challenge. I'm a straight white man, gang. Is there anything you think you can say to me that's going to make people turn against you? Because I disagree with you, 𝕬𝖎rite. I think there are. I think that you guys could definitely make people go, "Ooh, that was too much," right?
Depends on the community that you fostered, though, right? In my community, where I do a lot of space of talking to men about like men's issues and like trying to encourage them to like see women as like beings that are like nice. My community would lose their shit if I like went after a guy for being a straight white male, but that's because it's going to be a very sensitive thing for my specific type of viewers. 𝕬𝖎, I think, is a really great example of a TikToker who's basically capitalized almost exclusively on being nasty and horrific and saying pretty awful things towards men. In fairness, a lot of these men are assholes as well. So it's not like it's wholly undeserved, but the amount of like aggressive yas queening that she gets for comments that I would say most of the, like if she was making any similar comment towards toxic women, for example, nobody would be okay with it, right? Insulting their looks, insulting their body weight constantly, insulting like things that they would be pretty obviously insecure about, like receding hairlines and stuff like that, going after their character without knowing anything about them, basically equating them, I think literally she calls them cockroaches that she wants to step on. And she's got 8 million subs, a podcast that's exclusive with Spotify. Yeah. She's got a book that she's writing.
Maybe I need to step into this game. Shit.
Yeah. I mean, she's aggressively yas queened. And the issue is that I think like a space like Fresh and Fit, which is like rife full of misogyny, is like this understandable, awful reaction to the fact that like men's issues can be really hard to be talked about, even though I understand for women why men's issues can be really frustrating to talk about, because there's been this long history of not really being willing to talk about women's issues. There's this massive paucity of literature on like, what is a female orgasm? Who knows? We still don't really know, right? Yeah. So there's these like historical disparities that women are like can just like literally like point at and put their finger at, whereas it's not as clear for men, because for men, most men in history got screwed over. It was just rich white men that did really well, or rich men, depending on like the culture and area that they were in. But like, that's a harder thing to put your finger on historically and go, yeah, you were clearly like done wrong by, because poor white men aren't really talked about. Poor black men aren't really talked about historically, not in the way that's intersectional to their population. And so when I think about like this space, that's I'm sorry for the monologue. That's just kind of how I think about this clearly a lot, because it's kind of like my stuff. So those are kind of my thoughts on it. And it makes me sad. Because I think we're just like raising a generation to just like both hate each other and like revel in seeing the opposite as the enemy, which is sad.
Anything on this from either 𝕾𝖎 or Sadkitcat? I want to give them a chance, but then we have another super chat from 𝕬𝖎rite's community I want to get to too, and then I want to give our friend here a chance for any follow-up questions. So go ahead.
I mean, I haven't like personally seen any communities that are specific. Maybe on TikTok, but TikTok's whack. Everything on TikTok's crazy, man. Like it's like any opinion you can think of, it's being pushed on TikTok. It's weird. Yeah, but like on like Twitch and stuff, I don't think I've seen like any specific like we hate men communities, but maybe I just haven't branched out enough, I guess.
Yeah, I think what you're more often going to see is like rallying cries of groups that don't get immediately shot down. Like the fact that Kill All Men existed for a while is crazy, right? The fact that like there's like shirts going around of like, I enjoy bathing in men's tears is like, what? Like, weird. That's weird. It's so right. So there's like this element of like feminine anti-sociality that feels yas queened only when targeted at men, particularly if they're straight white men. Although I'm going to be honest, lots of men of color just catch strays as well.
Anything from 𝕾𝖎, or are you gonna?
Yeah, I just totally agree with Erudite on all this.
Noted.
She's hitting it. Not much I can add.
Got you. No, that's fine. So here's a question from Erudite's community. Can any of the women on the panel define creepy?
Like just making me uncomfortable. Like you're being creepy. You're making me uncomfortable.
Okay. Is that
Okay.
I would say that creepy is like I would say that creepy is at least somewhat defined by the context in which you're coming in, right? Like if you're coming in to my OnlyFans post, then you making a sexualized comment's not creepy because it's a OnlyFans post. If you're coming into Julie's stream when she's wearing a hoodie and like streaming Sims and makes a comment about her boobs, then yeah, that's creepy.
I've had like creepy comments on like OnlyFans and stuff. Like asking where I live is like that's like what do you like, bro?
Yeah,
like what do you mean? Like asking if we can meet up and stuff. Like I mean, I get maybe in other girls are like into that stuff, but I don't want to meet up. Like that's creepy to me. You're making me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a really good way that I've tried to like systematize this, especially so that men understand, is from the get-go, if it's a stranger, if you break social taboo, particularly sexual taboo, it's 99.9%, even if you're an attractive dude, viewed as kind of creepy. And then after that, I would say what's viewed as creepy is typically, again, non-consensual social taboo violation. So in the case of Julie's thing, what's going to be seen as creepy is when she goes, hey, I'm just not interested in that type of thing. Bring that to spaces where I do that type of work. And then they don't listen. That's where the creepiness starts to come out. Because the lack of respect to the boundary is the social violation.
What's creepy to you, 𝕾𝖎𝖏ole?
I think it depends on the individual, right? Like I think certain things, like getting a message on OnlyFans, like asking if you do meets, like that's a little weird, but that's not the craziest OnlyFans message. Like a lot of girls do meets. But like, I mean, if you, like for instance, the gym video that they were referencing, like if you came up to me at the gym to ask for my number, I don't think that's creepy. I think that's a normal place to meet a partner. But it would be creepy to me if I was going to my car after I'd said no and you're at my car. That might be weird. I think it just depends on your own boundaries, and I think it also depends who it's coming from. Like, my college professor asking me to get coffee is a little bit different than somebody I met at the, cafe.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. What's he look like?
Cafe.
No, I think it's context based, and then I think it's like based on the individual and what they're like comfortable with. Because like to me, I don't think someone is like creepy if they come into my stream and are like, wow, you're sexy. I don't think that's creepy. But if someone's like
pushing it,
if they're pushing it, that's a little weird.
Okay. Any other questions? Any follow-up, Bob? Or are you good? Bob.
Oh, if you're dressed like a bum and you like linger stare, you'll almost always be perceived as creepy. Linger staring in general will be perceived as creepy, but especially
you could be dressed nice, but if you're just staring at someone, that's weird.
Pretty privilege exists. Like if a super hot guy staring at you might be like, it's a little weird, but like I'm kind of into it, right? Like it's a little weird, but But if it's like if you look like you just emerged from your mother's basement, you've got like bags under your eyes, like you've got like mustard stains on your shirt, and you like don't know good social eye contact, that's a very quick way to be perceived as creepy.
Bob, anything else before we let you go? Bob.
You're unmuted now.
Bob.
So
Bobinski.
Bobinski.
Well, Bob.
I always think of Coraline.
Always a pleasure, Bob. But
love that movie.
Yeah.
We're moving on. We're going on.
The void.
Always a pleasure.
Let's bring in Q2 next. Q2 is yelling at me how he's been waiting over an hour.
Yeah, he was. Oh my god.
He wasn't ready.
Hello.
Oh, he was in the beginning.
Yes, he was.
I always have to be let in twice or whatever. It's because I'm a listener.
Oh.
Okay, what you got for us, brother?
Oh, okay. Well, to talk about what you guys talked about before, I think it's fine to say that creepy is whatever you want it to be at any given point in time, and I think a lot of men need to just kind of be okay with like at certain points you're just going to be creepy no matter what you do. There's things you can do to maybe lessen the chance of it, like in general, but like the idea that as a man, you can go through life like speaking to women or talking to women and never being creepy ever is just it's a fantasy that like maybe it's a fantasy. I think so. I think people need to like get over it a little bit. Be like, yeah, sometimes you make bad decisions. Sometimes somebody feels uncomfortable with what you do or how you are, and sometimes you can't control that. So it's like it's whatever. I'm just that's that was what I had to say on that.
I mean, yeah, at one point or another, I mean, not even like someone that you're trying to like date or whatever. At one point, you're gonna make someone uncomfortable. Like, that's just the human experience, right? You're gonna say something and everyone's gonna be like, "What the what?" Like,
Yeah.
it just happens.
Well, let me ask on this note. What are some things that men specifically do that make you feel more comfortable, right? So is there because I've seen this happen and pretty plays a role, but not entirely. I've seen one man say or do a thing. It's fine. Then I've seen another man say or do a very similar thing, and suddenly it's the end of the world. So what can guys do if they want to make you feel more comfortable? How can they do so?
Ooh.
That's a good one. Let me think.
I'm gonna let someone else take this.
Yeah, give me like 10 seconds. Yeah.
Okay. I talked to a lot of autistic men, so I've thought about this a lot because it's really helpful to operationalize this stuff to like specifics, particularly for neurodivergent men. Because unfortunately, a lot of the men who get like hit with the creepy label are typically neurodivergent men because they're just not like reading the right cues, which super sucks because they're not trying to be creepy. They're not doing anything wrong. They're just like existing and like can't read social cues nearly as well. Okay. You guys ready for my list? Okay. One thing you can do to maximize a woman's safety is think about your body spacing to her based on your own body size. So the taller you are, the more space you're going to want to give her in like an IRL interaction. So if you're 6'5" and you're as close to her as like I might be at 5'7", you're probably too close because she's going to have to crane her neck up so much higher to look at you, which is a little bit more intimidating and makes her feel like there's less space. As well, the way that your body is pointing when you talk to women can absolutely change the level of safety that a woman feels. So if your body language is pointed directly at her, it's very intense, it's very focused. Whereas if you're like, especially if you're hitting on a girl, if you just shift your body language to be sort of like perpendicular to her, it easily reduces the tension for her and it gives a physical space that she can move into if she wants to like walk away from you. The biggest thing that I've found for women to like make them feel more comfortable is to maximize their agency and maximize their capacity to feel comfortable saying no and looking for those no cues, because no cues are not always explicit, right? So if she's constantly turning away and disinterested, she's giving single word answers. Would it be better that she communicates what she's feeling? Sure. But not everyone's like super sophisticated at communication. So all these things where you're trying to like maximize and give her maximal agency to say no is going to increase her level of comfortability.
I also want to kind of like, and that's good, right? But I want to kind of focus in on the in online spaces where body language maybe doesn't matter as much, right? So if I've been told, right, by women that they get very uncomfortable when guys DM them, but as part of my job, right, I have to DM women sometimes to like get them on my show, right? I haven't had any issues, right? At least not that's been given to me. But if you were a guy and you want to just talk to a girl online or go into their chat online, right? What are some ways to make them feel comfortable or make them less likely to think you're a creep? Right?
I do not get uncomfortable if someone DMs me. That would never.
Yeah,
make me
I think
uncomfortable.
the DM thing is weird, but like,
I've heard
if
it
you're just
several times.
talking to someone,
is
it's
that like
fine.
a-
But if
is
you
that
start
like a
trying to get
thing?
sexual, that's when it gets weird.
It
I
is
would
a
just
thing.
block 'em.
Okay. Like what? Like wait. Can you clarify? Like, do you mean like people are saying don't DM me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's girls who like talk about how it's really distressing to have a guy like even DM them hi because they're just like, why are you
there's
messaging
also,
me?
like
That girl is
guys
creepy.
who
Is that
won't stop DMing, who will keep
That girl's a
messaging you
creep.
and think that you're friends. Like you've like talked like twice, and they instantly think in their brain like we're gonna hang out all the time. So like I've like had people like constantly like DM me like 2 or 3 times a day trying to get my attention, and that can be uncomfortable, even if they're not being sexual. But they just like won't like give me space. Like they won't wait for my response. They'll just keep going.
When you're saying, so I can understand you, Julie. When you're saying uncomfortable, is it like a safety discomfort, or is it like an annoyance discomfort? Just because I'm not sure what you're meaning by that.
I like it's like I think it's different because I'm in a relationship, and so like I don't want to have private conversations with men unless it's like a really close friend or it's like business.
Okay.
Like otherwise, I don't want to let a man like kind of into my space because like that time I can be using for my boyfriend, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I would say that like I think that okay, the DM thing is really weird, but also like I wonder, I have to wonder, you know how like it's, you know how like right now it's kind of a thing where it's like, no, don't call me, text me. Like I know friends who hate it when they are called, and would much prefer a text where they have like that agency. Is that kind of like the DM thing, or like another version of it, or? I guess I've really hung up on this DM thing.
So as as has been communicated to me, right? And I don't know if this is a case, a majority of cases, these are just the cases I know of. They feel singled out, like they are being, it's like when you single out a woman in the physical space and like you put your arm up, right? And you cut them off from the herd type of deal. That's how they feel. They feel singled out and uncomfortable because they don't know whether you're going to start sending them lewds or something or trying to hit on them. They just don't know, so they would rather all communication be public, right?
Okay.
I mean, if that's something that they've made clear, respect that boundary. But I think inherently, just to DM a female isn't creepy.
Yeah.
If I'm on Twitch and my bio says please don't DM me, tweet me on Twitter. Send me join my Discord. That's different. But if you DM me after the stream, I'm not gonna be like, what a fucking weirdo. That was really weird. I would never once think that in my life. If I'm getting spam messages, I'll block that user or not open them. Like I don't have to, I'm not obligated to respond to any DM. I just would not really think much about it.
The only thing that I can think of with the DM thing is that, like, as far as your question, Q2, is that basically, or the question of, like, the ways to be less creepy. I think the one thing that I could think of is that I've had some people be like, they'll message you, but won't give you a chance to answer, like, oh, where'd you go? That's kind of weird. I know that's not necessarily men. I know women who do it too. There's just certain people who are like that, who like think, oh, you're here in the conversation now, so you can reply now. But I don't want to have to tell you in the conversation, be right back. Like that's not something I'd tell like some random ass person,
Yeah.
I'd maybe say that to my significant other if I was texting them, but that's about it. But one more thing I know, Wick, I know that you asked for online spaces in particular, but I did want to follow up notsoErudite's thing about like the physical awareness. One thing that I'm a short person, and I'm like 5'1", and something that I don't like is full body hugs. Like I'm the 100% the side hugger. Doesn't really matter who, unless it's like a very close friend and I know who they are. So I would say like if you're grading someone you kind of know them and you're on like hugging terms with them, like offer the sidearm first and see where it goes. Like don't necessarily assume that you could just like throw your arms open and like especially if it's a shorter chick, like she's not gonna like bury herself. You know what I mean? That's just like a small thing though. And I know that's a very specific in-person thing. But...
Okay, we got $50 to say this. Girls.
Is it the same person?
Yes. Question.
$50.
So PLN.
Damn,
so
Wick.
it's not dollars. I don't know what PLN is, but
It's
okay.
Polish. It's
Okay.
Polish.
So, but it would be nice to get $50 US. That'd be nice. Anyway, question. Girls, question. So I'm approaching you riding a dinosaur, naked, roses in one hand, Communist Manifesto in the other. Is it creepy? If so, would the top hat make it acceptable?
If I don't know you and you're coming at me with roses right away, that's like if we're going on a date, yeah. But like if I'm walking down the street and you say you got roses I don't know you, like what?
It's the
See,
roses
but
that do it. It's not the dinosaur. It's not that he's naked. It's not the Communist Manifesto. It's not the top hat. It's the roses that
it's
do it for
probably a
you.
little all
I'm
of
just
it.
gonna be impressed.
Oh, she's impressed. Never mind.
That's
I take
impressive.
I'll shut up.
But that's the thing, it's boundaries and like what's comfortable for you. For me, I wouldn't mind. Like I got roses the other day when I was sitting in my car and I was like, oh, that was really nice. Where apparently you might not like that.
Yeah, maybe that's just a me thing. I think
What
it's just
kind of
me thing.
dinosaur? That's very important. This is very
T-Rex.
important. A
You know what?
T-Rex.
I don't know. Maybe he should send me more money
with
and
the long neck.
clarify. Well, Q2.
Yeah.
Anything else before we send you off?
Oh yeah. I just want this is a tough thing to say, but like I think there is like for the whole DMing thing, I think there is like a element where women, whether they like it or not, I think having like an air of like, and it's tough to cultivate it, but like basically like if men feel like if they DM you, there are other men that you'll either expose them or there are other men that can attack them, even if it's just online and call them dumb or something like that. If they say the wrong thing, I think that helps out a lot when it comes to if stopping men from sending DMs to you that they might know is bad, but they feel is one-on-one, so it doesn't matter. Like having like a group thing helps out. And two, I would say that on top of that, I guess on the opposite end, if you want men to feel more comfortable DMing you about stuff and like all that, I would say that whole feeling like your DM's going to be exposed help or is a part of it, but the other part is like making sure that you don't like shame men for approaching women or shame men for talking to women that they don't know in general. Having that type of air about you and like making sure like you're clear, like, hey, approaching women, that's you can do that, also helps with the men DMing you. Like will probably get you more DMs. If you don't want more DMs, you should, if you don't want DMs from men, you should probably shame more just any type of male female contact on your stream and all that stuff. And in general,
Male and female contact on your stream. Okay.
yeah,
Men and
to
women
not DM.
cannot be friends.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just like more of that stuff, and also in general, at the end of the day, all of this stuff is still, in my opinion, the streamer's responsibility to moderate their community, and yeah, that's it's just up to them type shit. Yeah.
Okay. Q2.
Also,
Yeah. Q2. Thank you.
One last
thing,
response.
please.
So that's it. And I think that it's also like again, kind of going back to the context matters thing. Like for my part, like I'm already in a relationship, so if somebody's DMing me, there is, and it's it's a man, and like there is sometimes if they don't have a explicit purpose, like I know why you DM me, Wick, right? But if there's no explicit purpose,
you think you know.
But,
just like coffee with your professor, you think you know.
Yeah, you think you know. But like, so if they don't have an explicit purpose in the first message or the first couple messages, then there's always that like kind of buffer period where it's like, okay, where are you really coming from? When do I have to drop the I'm in a relationship or married or whatever else, right? So I think that like I'll give the grace to people until they reveal their purpose. For my part, if they come out the gate like with a titty comment or something, and I've never I've never said like that this is some, or I've never indicated that I am open to titty comments, then that is weird and creepy.
Noted. Q2, we love you. Sorry for the wait. Sorry for the difference there, but hopefully it wasn't too onerous. And thank you for coming with your question.
Question for you guys as he's moving on. Do you guys find that you start to resent men a little bit if they like shoot their shot too often? Like, do you find yourself getting like frustrated of being like, even if it's a next new guy, it's like, oh my gosh, I've told like 17 other broskies to like shove off. Do you find that like super frustrating? Like, do you find yourself getting, I guess, resentful? Yeah, of that.
Is this from the same guy or different guys?
Assuming they're different guys, yeah.
If it's different guys, it's whatever. But if it's the same guy and they know that I'm in a relationship, then it's kind of like getting disrespectful. Like, I have a boyfriend. Why do you keep trying? You know what I mean? Like, you're disrespecting me, my relationship, and my boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There was once where I had a specific person, who was close to me, bring it up, and who had a crush on me, and I knew he had a crush on me. He had already essentially propositioned. And he did bring it up in one other context, and that was like a borderline thing. I basically said, like, I obviously rebuffed it and was like, that's not cool. But apart from that, like, if it was like different guys, then yeah, I'd be like, whatever.
$2 from Testicle Johnson to say, I respect women too much to speak to them. Good. Good on
Brave.
you. Right. Okay, let's bring it. Oh, anything else on that note, Erudite, or can we bring on the next guest?
Yeah, the reason I was asking is just
Yeah.
when Icebeans is like, and I know like when they're talking to me in DMs, there's like, I'm gonna get to like that like point where I like have to like suss out what's going on. So I was just trying to be like, when you're thinking about getting to that point, is there like this frustration of being like, ugh, I wish I just didn't even have to get to this point? Or is it just like neutral where you realize in like DMs like this that's inevitably where it's probably going?
Okay.
I don't know if it gets to that point in every DM, but maybe that's just my experience.
No. I mean, like, especially now, like, 90% of the conversations that I have with men in DMs are like not like that, right?
Yeah.
But there have been times where, like, especially if it's not someone that I'd already established, like, hey, DM me later, Or if it's people who, funnily enough, message me on League, right? And it's like, or like add me on League if they know I was a woman. It's like, okay, like, I'm sure, like,
I'm
it's
a top,
communication thing.
ma'am.
I'm a bottom.
Anyway, in League, the context matters, gang. These are statements that are okay in League. It's a little weird to just DM a rando, I'm a top or I'm a bottom. But, it is what it is. A couple things from housekeeping here. I know some of you have been waiting a long time in there. There is a line we'll get to you, I promise, right? But we want to give people a chance to explore, right? Their comments. We don't want to rush it, right? You want 30 seconds or do you want a good conversation? 250 PLN. So thank you for that. From Pixels Going Their Own Way. There you go. Also, what do you mean? What kind of dinosaur? Is the fact that it's a dinosaur not good enough? The absolute state of the modern women. And $2 from Drexel. Glad I grew up in the 90s. Chase/submission for the win. That's a question before I bring on the next person. Do you feel like you can't be the engager? As a woman in online spaces, do you ever feel like I can't even if I'm a little bit interested, if I open this up at all, that I'm just gonna that's just going to be, I'm going to be seen as a slut, or I'm going to see as an e-girl, or what have you, right? Is this something you worry about or think about at all?
No.
I think it's the way you come at them. Like, if you're being friendly, you're being nice, like, you want to play games and hang out, sure. But if you're, like, you come right out of the gate sending them pics of your fucking titties, like, it's different.
I don't know. I think we need
I can't say this I can't speak for this really, but because, like, I'm not necessarily engaging people for a relationship. Like, I'm married, so it doesn't, like, so I don't approach people that way, but, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, let's bring on the next contestant. And, so everyone knows it's Flowtrace, Steely, Scum, Meatwad, Scurvy, Speakeasy. I think that's the order. I'm not 100% sure. We're just going to do what we can. Okay, Flowtrace is next. Flowtrace, hello.
Flowtrace.
Yep.
What do you want?
You're live.
Hold on, give me. Oh my god. Okay, fine. I'll just get right into it. Hold on. I need to. Hold on. Wait.
Oh, beautiful.
I can make it work. Hold on.
Okay.
We're getting pinata or face cam.
I'm such a tech
there
wizard.
We go.
Excuse me, those days are behind me, Kyla.
Oh,
okay, please.
Okay. All
right. Jesus.
Whatever you say, friend.
Thank you. Well, I'm you a friend too. Okay. Anyways, hi. I have a question that I've been wondering about for a while, and I think it's a particularly difficult question because it feels like you have to go after people that aren't really doing anything wrong. In the online space, particularly in certain places like Twitch, there is an expectation on female content creators to sometimes go into not safe for work content. And this expectation feels like it is hardcore reinforced when lots and lots of female creators do this, which creates this really weird, awkward situation where on the one hand, I think expectations like that are really bad, right? It's a really toxic expectation that puts pressure on someone to do something that they don't want to do. And it's not something they don't want to do, it's something that's very like personal, very intimate. However, I don't
feel like I could like go up to women that do content creation that's not safe for work and hold them responsible and chastise them. How dare you do this, because that's putting pressure on other people. I really don't know how to navigate that sort of problem, because it feels like one of, if not the primary drivers is the omnipresence in the space. Especially, for example, in Twitch, right? When you're raiding onto other people, if you're coming from one community that is very much based around not safe for work content, say like Amaranth, right? If Amaranth were to raid another female streamer, it feels like there really would be a big expectation or a lot of pressure. But I don't think Amaranth is doing anything wrong. I was just wondering if y'all had any thoughts on that and how to navigate that. Who's taking a moment? Now it's taking a moment.
Sure. I mean, we so much discussed this already. So my opinion is that a lot of this is amoral. It's just like an expression. It's like an epiphenomenon of a system, and there are pros and cons to it. I think it's really, really important for like women to have conversations with each other specifically about like the pros and cons of sex work, so that like when women do or don't choose to go into it, they're like informed on it, about the impacts that it can have, particularly like psychologically with themselves and their body, and like how they experience others and sex and intimacy. But I don't think it's like this moral problem. For example, people come in my Discord all the time, not my Discord as much, sorry, my chat, and ask me if I have OnlyFans. I want to do like government contract work in the future. I will literally never, ever, ever do sex work because of that, because guess what, conservative governments don't like giving contracts to sex workers, unsurprisingly. So that's just never an option. I don't know if I'm never offended when people ask me. The only part that's really annoying is when men circle jerk and talk to each other about like, oh, don't worry guys, like it's coming someday, she's a big dirty slut because she's a woman on the internet, so it's coming someday. I don't know, I feel this is amoral unless like people are doing like these weird things with it.
I don't think it necessarily needs to be moral, but I think there could still be bad. Like it's not, and I don't think it's necessarily immoral if like a person, is struck by lightning and dies, but it's still bad. And I would, if there were ways to reduce the lightning strikes. The problem is that it feels like when it comes to this specific pressure on women, not to say that there aren't other pressures, obviously, but it feels like a very significant one. It feels like I don't have a good way to try and redress that. That isn't immoral itself, because then that would effectively be going after women that do this work, right?
Why
like,
is
I don't
it
know
bad
how
specifically, like this epiphenomenon? Why is it bad inherently?
It feels
Or
bad
maybe
to pressure.
fundamentally?
Yeah, it feels really bad to pressure people, to have an immense pressure on people to do something they don't want to do, and it feels especially bad when it's something like sex work that's very intimate and personal in a way that is unique compared to like the pressure of a Twitch streamer to do whatever gets views.
The
right?
pressure of a Twitch streamer to read his super chats, $5 from 𝕵𝖔𝖎𝖙 to say, "Yo, how do I get on a panel with Erudite and Sadkitcat? I want war." Smiley face. How can we set it on the same topic? 1vx, bring multiple internet ladies. Well, I guess. That's just a mystery. I don't know. But anyway, carry on.
Me and Sadkitcat are the same person. We've just got two different angles of camera, actually. That's
Fair
what my
enough.
chat is. Yeah, I get why you're saying it's bad, because there's this trade-off of the pressure. I just don't know if I would say it's inherently bad. I don't think the pressure to go in a certain direction has to be bad, although there are obvious negative sequelae, like women, not just because there's multiple pressures for women to go into sex work, which is money, right? Like the reality is like, I'm pretty tight. I'm a decently sized streamer. I get really consistent views, and my money's pretty tight. And I know that if I open an OnlyFans, probably all of my money problems would be solved overnight. I know that, no question. So there's like that pressure that already exists. I just don't know if just because there's a pressure directing us towards something, that's the bad thing that needs to be counteracted. I think what needs to be counteracted is like the way that the thing is talked about, right? If more women understood the actual impacts of OnlyFans and it wasn't romanticized, for example, or overly shamed, I think people could make more informed decisions on it.
Okay,
I guess.
I agree with that.
Yeah, 𝕾𝖍𝖎, go ahead. Do you think that like and we've touched on this before. I think we've had you on to discuss this before when you were on my show with the call-ins and things. Do you think that like just the existence of OnlyFans as a platform and being on it, right, or managing people who are on it, do you think that necessarily, right, puts an onus on women who don't have it to actually engage with it? Do you think you have any moral culpability there, or any kind of responsibility, if you will?
I don't know if I have any, but I think the worst thing about OnlyFans is that people only talk like if you went on TikTok right now and I was like a 17-year-old in high school who like wanted to be a streamer, I wouldn't even try for anything else, because I'd go on TikTok and I'd see like these girls like, I just get to travel all the time, and like all I gotta do is post nudes, and like nobody talks about the real world consequences of that site. And like I make all my money. I mean, I don't have, but I manage OnlyFans for a living. So I love OnlyFans. I support OnlyFans. I support it for people who that's actually what they want to go into, and they've level-headedly made that decision. But I think
you don't use the lover girl method to get them into your like Romanian...
No, I don't.
I don't know.
No,
No.
Lover girl method.
Everyone I
doesn't
manage
sexualize
already.
Lover girl.
The female Andrew Tate, right?
Oh no.
I think I have to get in line.
No. I just think it's really glamorized and people don't talk about it enough. And then
Yeah.
also from like a female perspective, if you were a female streamer, why wouldn't you? Like if you're getting DMs every single day, like, oh, you should make one, and you should make one, like you shouldn't make one. Like unless you're like the top couple percent of like female streamers, and you are, I think honestly over 25, like get that cerebral cortex fully grown in, you shouldn't make one. And like that's me who makes money from people having OnlyFans.
I want to ask you specifically, Sadkitcat. This was $5 super chat. Well, first of all, $50 USD from Killian says, I don't know that 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙 and scumbag are the best names when waiting in line to talk to women. LOL. Fair. But a question for you, Sadkitcat. $5 from 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙 asks, should OnlyFans links be banned across all platforms to unlink OnlyFans and sexual content from the rest of the content?
Should we? I don't.
So should
I don't
you be allowed, right, to link your OnlyFans when you're on Twitch, or should that be a banned thing?
I mean, people link their like fans. Like, wasn't Fansly literally like advertised or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Greater words.
I don't know if it should be fully banned. Because people, but the thing, okay, so I have this thing with like a deplatforming and stuff. When you like send people to the shadow realm, they get like even worse, right? Like when you try to like get rid of these things and hide them, they become even more unbearable to deal with. You got to find ways to regulate it within the communities that you're already in. If that makes any sense, I don't know.
I'm curious to see if Twitch does go that direction, because they're really trying to push the kid-friendly stuff, and obviously it's really hard to have a kid-friendly site if like girls are pushing their like porn sites. So I wouldn't be surprised, but like I was like, that's not going to be a moral decision. That's going to be a bottom line decision. At the end of the day, that's going to be about what Twitch wants. I don't know. I'm pretty mixed, just because I know that Twitch specifically is like angled at a kid site. But it's hard because Twitch has like hot tubs and pools, and it's just like, I'm sorry, like,
dude, there's people on hot tubs and pools that show more than I do. Like, because I don't get naked or anything. Like, I've seen more on Twitch than I've taken of myself. Like, like it's wild.
It would be a weird standard for them to uphold, but it's not like Twitch is exactly notorious for being highly consistent.
Any real quick follow-ups? We got a line. I'm going to get through them.
If there's a line, but I actually don't think the question was sufficiently answered.
Oh wow!
Oh.
Okay, well, tell the women why, right? They haven't sufficiently answered your manly man question, right?
Oh my goodness!
I will say, Flowtrace, I just don't don't have overlap with NSFW communities, so I don't feel pressured in that way. And also, like everybody else who knows me knows I'm like married and stuff and doesn't do that. So I that's why I didn't answer that though.
That's incredibly valuable, because it's a very difficult thing to measure how much pressure is actually happening. It's not like there's studies on this, so that is actually very useful. The thing that I don't feel is exactly been answered is, I think this pressure has a uniqueness in its inevitability in a way that isn't true of other things. So, for example, it's always going going to be the case, so long as people's basic needs aren't being met, that they'll feel some pressure to sometimes do things, right? Same is true for, crime, anything that pays in a world where people don't have the money that they would like is always going to have some pressure. But it feels like, for example, we're not getting rid of that. Like, we're not going to be living in anytime soon in a world where that's going to be the case. But it seems like there probably could be a world where this kind of pressure wasn't as prevalent, right? In the same thing that you mentioned, 𝕵𝖎𝖙, when people reach out in DMs, like, oh, are you going to do this? When you're not a sexual content creator at all, that's the kind of thing that is unique, and we can discourage that.
I know,
I'm not discouraging that because that's fucked up. But the problem, true. But the problem is, but it seems like there could be a solution. Like, theoretically, if it was the case that we did have some sort of harsh sectioning off of this kind of mixing of not safe for work content and safe for work content, I think that would have a significant effect. But the problem is, I don't know how I feel about that, given the fact that you're effectively punishing content creators for really their communities in a way, even when they extremely discourage them. I guess actually, I never really thought about this, but an interesting allegory would be if there was a streamer.
You're gonna give us a fucking allegory? We have a line. We have a line. You're speaking at 20 times speed.
In the same way.
And you haven't said anything.
The words per minute. Holy
Let
shit,
him
dude.
cook. I'm hungry. Let him cook.
In the same way that a sexual content creators community, even without their approval, might put pressure on adjacent communities to be differently, there could be a streamer who has a really toxic community, and the streamer tries to clamp down on us, but for whatever reason they aren't able to. And then proximity streams are starting to become more toxic as a result. How do we feel about that? Would there ever be a certain point where we would, not just is it bad, but specifically what would we do about it? Because the streamer isn't doing anything wrong in this case. It's their community. Would we, and let's say,
community? You foster your own community.
But would they might be fostering it in a specific way, but are they fostering it in a way that they're responsible? Because would you say then, if you
they're
are
peeing
a sexual
in the pool,
content...
they're peeing in the pool, dude.
You can be responsible for the way your community acts.
I think it depends on like what light are you giving that behavior. Are you red lighting it?
If you're letting them run rampant, like attack other streamers and dox people and that's you're letting your community do that. You're fostering that kind of behavior. Like, you need to shut it down, or that's on you. Like, why are you letting that? Like, why are you?
I think the thing that makes this interesting though is it feels like a lot of content creators probably already do, right? If people from Amaranth's stream go to any other streamer and start acting really badly, I'm sure Amaranth enforces like cross-platform bans and stuff like that. Or if you went to Amaranth, she would say, but it feels like this is still a problem. That's the thing that's interesting.
Yeah.
If a content creator was like, yeah, go hogs wild, then yeah, fuck them. But if someone's community is toxic and they're genuinely doing everything they can, is it fair to start punishing the streamer? Be like, we can't have you around here, even though you're doing everything you can.
Different.
It is different, but then what do we do? That's the question.
We will think on
I don't
it.
know what to do.
We will.
So I think that's a question for another day.
Yeah, maybe one comparison I would make: the pressure for women to go into sex work on content creation, I think, is actually less nefarious and less strong than the pressure for streamers to be antisocial fucking pieces of shit to grow their platform. Right? Everyone knows that the more you're willing to basically backstab, lie, cheat, and manipulate people so you can leak information so that you can trend it is reinforced, which is why some of the bigger streamers have notorious, awful, horrible drama of insane shit that they do, right? And so I actually think the pressures to be an antisocial fuck on this platform is larger than this. I actually think that this is a bigger issue. There's even motivations to pay your editors, treat your editors like shit and not care about them. Take really poor accountability of your staff. And I think if I'm being honest of these two issues, I think this one has a very direct chain of incentivization, whereas the OnlyFans one, I have no idea how you breach that policy unless Twitch does something like banning OnlyFans content creators from being Twitch content creators, or at least banning them from promoting any level of social connection, make it really hard for people to find it, which is a kind of a draconian measure.
𝕵𝖎𝖏, I love you.
Yeah, thank you, man. Sorry for taking
this away. Okay. $20.
I need to learn how to speak to that. I think you need to learn how to speak like that.
No, it's fine. The speed is great. $20. $20.
$20. You place it on 1.5 speed.
That's true. $20 from No Step on Snick says, I know that parasocials are part of online sex work, but in your opinion, is there any such thing as going too far? In other words, is there a point where stringing someone along goes too far? Thanks, you guys are great. So If you
well,
are
sex work related or streamer
if you are a sex, the question was sex work related. So if you're a sex worker or work in that industry, or even as a streamer, let's kind of bring it back. A streamer, a female streamer, because you all mentioned playing into your sexuality, right? And is there a point where you cross a line with that? Like you're like, oh, look
You're
at my.
actively like manipulating and lying to people to get money out of them. Yeah, that's probably not a good thing to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it like I think it depends. Like if you like, I'm not too familiar with this region of sex work, but like if you're specific, if part of what you offer is like I will DM you, I will pretend you're my boyfriend or whatever, then that's fine, I think. But if it's not something that's explicit, then that is a little weird to string them along. Like the same way that I think that if, like, so for example, if I took off my rings and pretended I didn't have a boyfriend and said, I'm looking for a boyfriend, and that got me money, and I knew that got me money, and that's why I did it, that would be wrong. So I think the same is true of, like, of sex workers. But,
I agree.
And streamers.
But I also don't do... Yeah, I also
there
don't
are
do
streamers.
It's just lying, though. Like, just lying is, like, why are you lying? Like...
Yeah, and there are, like, I do know of female streamers who pretend to their chat like they will date one of these guys eventually, as long as they, like, woo her enough. So they all spend lots of money on her and pursue her and spend lots of time in her Discord. We all know.
Does anyone think that's okay here?
I think it's a little weird, to be honest. I mean, you can do what you want, but I think it's weird.
I think it's, like, actively harmful. It's like
yeah.
You're conning people at this point.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't like the idea of that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, also, too, I don't know. I kind of have, like, harsh ideas on this, but if you're paying a female every single day to talk to her, it's probably not your girlfriend. I don't, like, go to a dude's chat and, like, give him $4 and be like, that's my boyfriend. We're in love. Like, you should have some accountability. Like,
chat, if you want to be my significant other, give me subs. You will be my significant other for the day. Give me subs, give me money, and you can pay for it, right?
For life.
Speaking of paying, right? Before we let Steely in here, let me get to my money. Pixel's going their own way with 25 more PLN. Says, "Oi, question to 𝕾𝖍𝖎. I'm not up to date on LOL. What is the current Garen build? Crit on hit tank. 𝕾𝖍𝖎, please."
I know why Pixel went to your stream. I refuse to send any of these to you.
I will take his money.
I know. No comment.
Wait. Were they asking for 𝕾𝖍𝖎 builds?
Never mind. 𝕾𝖍𝖎.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's asking for that.
Okay.
No.
Rest in pepperonis.
It was a comment. But 𝕾𝖍𝖎 for $5. Margaret Atwood. Men are afraid that women will laugh at them. Women are afraid that men will kill them. Not a question, but fair. Steely, what do you got for us?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me, Wick. 𝕖rudite. I'm a fan. I found you during your coverage of Mr. Girl. It's pretty good.
GGL.
All right, so I need some advice from you ladies. All right, and Wick too. You can contribute if you'd like. So I need advice for ladies getting into a male-dominated space.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, do you like the thing in the male-dominated space? Are we assuming that they like the thing?
Yeah. So I guess I can be more specific. I am a content creator that focuses on Dungeons and Dragons, extra nerdy, and it is male dominated. There's like two primary, actually there's like one woman, but there's a couple outliers, and I would like to see more. So my first question is advice for ladies to get into the space, and my second question is advice for me to platform them.
How come you're not getting into women's spaces? Like, go play Star Stable or like
Sims.
Stardew Valley.
We could do our makeup together.
You want me to I have to rebrand? So, I mean,
well, that would be an interesting question. What is preventing men from moving into these spaces? And if they want to, if we want to bring men into these spaces, how do we course correct to draw them in more?
All right, fair enough.
What's causing the? Yeah,
I think men get made fun of. Men get like put down and made fun of for being kind of in women's spaces, don't they?
Yep.
Whereas women get like praise for being not praise, well, sometimes praise. Like a woman who likes something that a man likes, like I don't know, Call of Duty or something. They're like, oh my god, she's such a good woman. But then you go on Call of Duty like voice chat and you get shit on for being a woman. So it doesn't make any sense.
$5 from 𝕵𝖎𝖎. I love you, Wick. Will you marry me? For $5. Come on, add a couple zeros.
Cheap.
We'll talk, right?
Yeah, what the hell? Oh, wait, before we go any farther, is your name like Steely Sam because it's Steely Dan?
It is not.
Ah, never mind. Okay.
I know.
You should have said yes.
It's
So
so
that's my favorite
disappointing.
band, so I was just wondering.
It's your
To go back to
favorite
your
band.
question,
If you would've said yes, she would have asked you about it and you wouldn't have known.
are you trying to get more women into the Dungeons and Dragons space?
I feel like there's a lot of women already in that play the game. Like when I do sign-ups and stuff and interact with the community, there's plenty of women there. But as far as content creators, like not enough. So I would like to platform some of them that are interested. Like I feel like maybe like I don't want the reason to be that they don't want to get into the space because they feel that pressure, right? That we were just talking about.
Right.
So I would like to platform, and it's really easy to do because D&D is a community game, so it's really easy to just bring more women on. But I don't really know how to approach that topic. Like, hey, ladies, you want to play some D&D? Right? You guys want to make some content? I don't know how to. I usually just do signups in the community. So how do you?
Okay, actually, I no. Then I didn't. Then I do know how. Like okay, I'll say this as it's not D&D related, but this is what made me. So one of the things that encouraged me to stream was the fact that I was so active in 𝕲's community. And I did call-ins all the time, yelled at him, made memes for him, and it was like a whole dynamic. I was absolutely a 𝕲viewer. And so at some point, somebody actually suggested it to me. I think I had an interview. I was on an interview on another streamer's thing, and someone was like, yeah, you should stream. And I, at that point, felt supported by the community enough that I felt like, oh, okay, you know what, that's actually a really good idea. And I think I will do it, actually. And so, absolutely, some of my initial success was due to the fact that I already had that community backing me up. So when they heard, I was going to start streaming, they were like, fuck yes. I got a bunch of subs the first day I streamed, even though I had a fucking scuffed-ass stream. So I think that, the way that you could sort of, not replicate that, but, encourage that is by... I don't think that it would be pressurizing to tell somebody that they would be good for streaming, especially if you know that they have a good personality for it. They'd be a good DM. I'm assuming you mean DMing, right? Or do you mean just playing on stream?
It's just making. Playing on stream is fine. From my experience, most of them are fine with playing. DMing would be great, and making content would be great. There's a lot of opportunity. Yeah. I don't know. Cosplays are great. There's plenty of things that could be.
Yeah, I think you could just essentially, especially if your community is supportive, right? I think it wouldn't be pressurizing to say to tell somebody, oh, your content, you could probably make good content if that's what you were interested in, and have your community be that supportive base that they can jump off of and encourage them to jump into the community, because that's exactly what happened to me. That's also my experience.
Look, is that significantly different than just being supportive? How, I don't know, that seems to be just a general answer, right?
Well, I think the difference.
Be supportive.
Well, Wick, I think the difference is that in this case, girl D&D streamers is a rarity, right? So he's basically asking, is it pressurizing for me to say the women in my space who are good at D&D to make content? You know what I mean?
Advice for women who want to create content in a male-dominated space,
right.
And advice for me to platform them.
Right.
Yeah, I think Icebeans actually outlines something that I think is really interesting, which is what draws men and women to different things, right? Obviously, there are going to be some women that are drawn to more things that men are attracted to, and vice versa. But it's interesting to think about Icebeans' experience into getting into politics. It was very community oriented, right? It was about the connections that she had made. Whereas a lot of guys get into politics because they're I have thoughts I would like to say and ideas I want to spout, and it's not really about community. And so I think when you're thinking about a lot of feminine spaces, right? I listed a bunch of cringe things like Star Stable and Sims and stuff like that. But a lot of the draw to it, Star Stable is because it's horses and cringe shit like that. But there's oftentimes this very like kind of cohesive, slightly more feminine community element to like the space itself. So I suspect if you find a way to lean into that, where like if a woman I think feels really supported moving into a space, she's probably going to be more likely to do it. I think there's a lot less women that just like aggressively pursue streaming because they're just like, I like the idea of this thing and I want to pursue it. So that would be like one thing that I would like think about. There's also like there's elements because you have women interested in D&D. It's not about finding women to be interested in D&D. It's about getting them on
it's not
stream.
it's not the game itself. It's creating content.
Yeah.
for it.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is-
So you
which is
probably want to
kinda
build
why-
that community element to it and then like really encourage them because like probably the reason they're not coming on stream is it's like nerve-wracking to be on stream and kind of embarrassing to do like weird voices. So like really encouraging them, trying to encourage your chat to be really supportive of them so that like the first time they're exposed to the public space of it, it's a really positive experience for them and it feels kind of like friendship and community building. That's going to be a lot more like what draws like femme people generally has been my finding at least.
And you to just quickly add on to that, like I mean that was the like my first stream felt like I was streaming to gamers. It actually was not really distinguishable from a like just me going live and sharing my screen when I was like hanging out in BC with them. And I think that the community also acts as like a buffer against like, you know, I don't know what like negative elements of I don't know the intricacies of the negative elements of the D&D community online, but like I can imagine that having that community will sort of insulate against the more egregious ones, you know? Like, if you already have, like, people who are going to be, who know you, who like you, who are going to mod for you, then having them there in the chat is going to really help, right?
Anything,
and help turn people off.
Anything from Sadkitcat or Lilmole on this when it comes to bringing women into male-dominated spaces?
When you see women in those spaces, support them and hype them up the same way you would support your male counterparts. I think that's encouraging to make them keep creating content. You know, if you can finally get them to that point where they like do make the content, hype it up.
Yeah, and also girls talk. So if you can make a safe space for one girl, she'll talk to her other girlfriends, and you can get more of them. Girls 100% talk.
Fair enough. Anything else from you, Steely? Any other thoughts before we send you off?
I do have one more question.
Please.
They all brought up something very interesting. A woman-dominated space that a male could get into. I want to experience what it's like to be on the other side, so to speak. So
Just if you have
what's
a
something I
girlfriend that's close to you, ask her to paint your nails, and they'll be like
Nail
five other
painting,
girls. They'll
okay.
all want to paint your nails.
that's some quality content. People
Yeah.
would love to watch makeup tutorials.
Yeah, girls get really excited. You show like a little like sliver of interest in something a girl's got going on, they get really excited. They'll invite all their girlfriends. Have you come
And fem
over?
energy?
Do makeup, paint your nails.
Yeah, and feminine energy is amazing. It's like super
It's so
fun.
much
It's
fun.
nice. And then the main thing is they don't always want to be like sexualized. Like everyone on this panel
Yeah.
seems super chill and like pretty like mature about the way that like we engage with sexuality and stuff. But I wouldn't take like this panels are great for like the anti-misogyny arc that I like for my viewers. It's not necessarily the most like real for like what some girls feel and stuff like that. I don't
Yeah.
think all girls have processed their sexuality as well as like this panel has, which is based on this panel. So like really trying to like minimize the sexual pressure in like feminine spaces is going to be way better.
All right.
Okay, Steely, thank you for coming. Thank you for calling in. Sorry for the wait, but you know,
take it easy.
It is what it is. Bye-bye. To the void.
To the void.
That was a good question, though.
Do you think? Well, before we bring in the next guy, it's getting late. Are you guys good?
I'm chilling.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm putting off my dinner for this. This is
Mole.
fun.
You okay? Everyone's cool. I just want to make sure because I know I said 8 and it's like 8:15, but we have a couple more.
I'm not doing. It's 5 o'clock for me.
Okay,
So.
just making
Yeah.
sure. Just making
5
sure.
o'clock somewhere.
Okay, but I do want, and you don't have to answer this right away. You can think about this, but I am curious if we think there is a need for a women's only spaces online. Do you think that is something that is even necessary, or do you think that's just kind of reinforcing these weird gender boundaries that probably we should just tear down? What do you think?
I don't know specifically online, but there are like like specific things that are like, you know, like being pregnant, like how to deal with like having a baby and after pregnancy care. Like these are like, you know, woman only things that women should feel comfortable talking about. I don't know. Maybe it's an online only thing, like, but I'm not. But like, there should be a space for women to feel comfortable having those conversations with other women who've had those experiences.
I don't want to be on a woman only website.
Fair. Okay. Let's bring in the next guy.
I don't.
Hello, you're live, scumbag.
Oh, it's scumbag.
Oh, mama, how are you guys doing tonight? How are you doing, Wiki?
We've kept it not weird so far. Can we continue that trend? I don't know. We'll find out. Go ahead.
I don't know about all this.
I've got a fuck. Can you drag someone else in? I lost my question. You made me lose it. Oh. Yeah. Drag someone else in, Wiki. I'm uncomfortable. There's too many pretty women here. I can't.
I mean, if he wants me to drag someone else in, I will. Let's bring someone else in.
What do you got?
No, it's that incel meme of like all the the women like, what are you doing?
You know what? You know what's a good meme is when the chatters in my YouTube chat like the stream and then send super chats, and then in my Twitch chat when they gift subs or sub to the channel. That's great. Speak easy. You're up. You're here. What you got for us? You're muted. Oh, there we are.
Yeah, my bad. 1 second, I was just turning off your stream there.
Okay, what you got?
All right, you guys can hear me? Okay. So I just got a couple quick questions and then something to touch on what you guys talked about earlier. So my first question is, given the amount of kids that use Twitch, do you guys think it's ethical or unethical that Twitch allows for the hot tub streamers?
Why? What do you mean ethical?
Well, do you think this is good for kids to be exposed to?
I don't think it's good for kids to be exposed to hot tub streamers, but I don't think just because they have a hot tub section, that falls on that's not the streamer's fault. The streamer has a certain standard that they should uphold and not let minors in their chat, and they should be aware of that. But I don't think that's just the reality of being on the internet. Like, it's not like you went on PH when you were 12, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you go to the beach and you see girls in even less clothing. Like,
Hooters. You can go into Hooters.
Yeah.
There's no age range.
People take their kids to Hooters all the time. Like, it's not great, but it happens.
Here's the real cringe shit. Is Twitch doing that and then acting like they have the moral high ground? That's the real problem, right?
Yeah,
if you're going to do this
but-
shit because, let's be honest, it makes you money, then stop trying to pretend like you're this kid-friendly website that just cares about good, progressive morals. It's just
Isn't that corporations problem in
Right.
general? Corporations, they're just trying to make money.
Speaking of making money, $20 from No Step on Snick to say she'll harder wick. I will. Okay, carry on.
It worked?
Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah. So basically, okay. To follow up, then, do you think that Twitch should have a better way of confirming your age to get into these types of streams?
Maybe,
I feel like
but
whatever.
also-
Yeah.
Lil Mo, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, the parents too hold some responsibility, right? My kid probably wouldn't be watching Twitch all day long if they're 11 years old. That just wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Twitch started out as a kid's to watch gamers. That's what Twitch started out as, right?
Is that what it's
not
still
anymore? But it
It turns out kids don't have money. Yeah.
Yeah, it supports. Yeah,
need
it
subs,
supports
bro.
not safe for work, or borderline not safe for work streamers. So
Yeah, it's a little weird that they banned gambling, but they still have the hot tub streams. So that feels really inconsistent. Should they have better verification? Probably all sites should for age gating.
but also
to be honest.
any verification, come on, you can't tell me that short of sending a picture of your fucking ID if you want to sign up for something that's 18 plus, you can't somebody's gonna get around that, right? That's not to say that it shouldn't be there. But I just think that it's weird that, I don't know.
Hendrick for $10 says harder, Wick. Oh, I will shill so hard. I will shill the hardest you've ever seen. You've never had a shill as hard as this, okay? This is going to leave you limping for a week. You're going to have to be rolled around in a wheelchair because it's going to come so hard. I'm going to shill so hard for that cash that I'm going to send you into next week. This is going to become a Not Safe for Work channel, how hard I'm going to shill. It's going to make you deeply uncomfortable, and all of you will leave this chat because you will feel deeply uncomfortable. But my God, will you have given me all your money? I have milked you for all you are worth, and you will be left sopping wet on the floor, just milked entirely of every single penny that you had to offer me. Okay.
I think I'm on the panel because I can't afford this. Holy fuck.
Okay. Anything else from you?
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I have your stance on it. I kind of wanted to see what you girls thought about that. So I have another question. Do you think that the females' exploitation of their own sexual form for attention and popularity online has anything to do with the red pill ideology and its popularity?
Are you asking if we think that there's some truth to the red pill ideology because
People were doing sex work way before red pill became popular, though, right? Like,
yeah, but it wasn't hypersexualized online like it is today. I'm asking you if you think this contributes to the red pill ideology and its popularity.
For sure. I would say
yeah.
If that's
red
my
pillars are gonna take it as a confirmation.
One at a time. I want to hear from Sadkitcat, then I want to hear from Icebeans, and then I want to hear from 𝕖𝑠udite. Go ahead.
If you view like a woman doing sex work as a bad thing, and now it's like really, especially because of the pandemic and stuff, and people like hopped on because they thought they could make quick money, and so it's like all over the internet, it's like exploded or whatever. If you view that as being bad, and suddenly it's like all in your face, like I think it probably would push your ideology because it's all you're seeing, right? Like, does that make sense?
Would you agree that most men look at promiscuous women as a bad thing?
I mean, I don't know most men. Like, I don't like it's your own like. If you don't want to be with a promiscuous woman, like I don't give a shit. I don't know if a woman doing sex work is inherently like promiscuous, but maybe that doesn't make sense. But
wait,
like for me personally, like I like don't post nudes or anything, but I still do sex work. So is that like, am I like promiscuous? I don't know if I would call myself promiscuous.
But do you think men would call you promiscuous?
Not all. I mean, I'm in a relationship currently, and I have been for the last 5 years. I don't know. I don't think he would think.
I know. I'm speaking in general. Most men in general, right? That's what I'm speaking
in general. I mean, if they don't know me, if you don't know me, if you want to make an assumption, probably, yeah. If you want to make an assumption, yeah.
What are your thoughts, Icebeans? Sorry, I'm blanking on names today. I'm sorry.
I guess like, look, red pillars are gonna take what they can and confirm their biases, right? No matter how women act. Like I lived in Saudi Arabia like pretty much all of my life, and over there, like as soon as I turned like 13 and started growing breasts, like that was when, like, I remember specifically my dad getting mad at me because we were out in public and he realized that the religious police were probably going to come up to us and say something. He didn't care that I was wearing a shirt that showed that I was growing breasts. He didn't care about it. He cared about the fact that somebody was going to approach us and give us shit for that. So, like, was that me being promiscuous? Yes, apparently, according to like the Saudi religious police. So, like, am I to blame for that? So I think that the same sort of thinking is going to be applied to any situation that women are, like, using their sexuality in. And like, consciously or unconsciously. So, that's really...
What you got for us, 𝕖𝑠udite?
Yeah.
I mean, I think guys in the red pill overestimate how much other men agree with them. There's plenty of men that don't seem to care. In fact, it seems to be the case that a lot of people tend to also date within their body count. People just tend to date alike people. The issue with the red pill is you guys are like really big about being man sluts and how it's great. And I understand why there's like this difference in dynamic. The issue is that like the reality is like that does turn off a lot of women that have lower body counts. You guys just like don't want to think about that. And so there's tons of men that don't really care at all. If she's a sex worker, if she's promiscuous, they're like, great, she's probably really good at sex, and really like theoretically she might be more mature in her sexuality than somebody with like only one body or zero body count. For some guys, that's a turn off. I think you get to like have the preference. There was 2 questions there. What was the second question that I'm missing?
Oh, the question was do you think that it contributes to the red pill ideology, and if it contributes to its popularity?
Yeah, to some extent. The issue is that like I don't think women's sex work is what's specifically directing to it. It's contributing to it now as a descriptive lens with which they view women. But I think the red pill, when I look at its explosion, it's a lot more as a reaction to like men's spaces that just talked about real men's issues getting aggressively villainized and like destroyed off of the internet, right? We saw that with MRA, and we saw that with 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙. And we saw that kind of with like Jordan Peterson types as well in like 2016 to 2018. They got eviscerated, even though they like were nowhere near Andrew Tate or like Fresh and Fit types. And the issue is like, I think Julie said it, like when things go underground, they tend to like fester and get like very different and worse. And unsurprisingly, men are frustrated that nobody wants to talk about their issues. Nobody wants to talk about their mental health. Nobody's being honest with men about like the actual obstacles that young men have to deal with. Like singleness amongst young men is at an all-time high. And so it exploded, I think, out of that. And then probably like the women's sex work stuff fuels some of that rage because women are now getting maximal access to something that these young single men like desperately are like angry and hungry for. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does.
That's my view on it.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and we'll see you
Thanks
later.
for having me on, man.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, take care.
Okay, we're probably gonna do 1, maybe 2 more, and then we're gonna call it, gang. So if you have questions in chat and you want to give me money to ask them, now's the time, right?
Right. I got one from my chat that
please,
I'm sending you.
Please. Let's read that before bringing in the next one. Okay, from Erudites community. Do you think sexualization would stop if women wore loose or baggy clothing? Isn't it true that men don't need you to sexualize yourself to sexualize you?
Men are going to sexualize you no matter what. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. Like, you could be
But couldn't
fully
you
covered.
mitigate it?
You couldn't even be in the room. Like you would be on another side of the planet, and they'll still sexualize you.
But
bro, I grew up wearing like a cloak over myself, like whenever I went out in public. Like that was what I grew up with, and I was still sexualized.
Yeah.
Sure, but the question is, so if you went out in a bikini versus you going out in just a hoodie, which do you think will get you more sexualized?
In our culture, the bikini, obviously, and probably in most cultures. The issue is that there's 2 pieces to this question, which is if women wore more baggy and less covering clothes, would they be sexualized less often? I mean, yeah, Saudi Arabia is a good example. No. Like they'll just be like, oh my gosh, those eye slits, baby, right? Like they'll just find something else to sexualize. And in our modern culture, women are much more comfortable in North America to lean into being sexualized, to lean into clothing that heightens their sexualization, right? Like there's not a lot of women in North America wearing like full coverage and like the outfit that Icebeans was wearing when she was growing up. So we have 2 of these dynamics going on where like women are leaning into the sexualization, and also, anything will always be sexualized because humans are sexual beings.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this before we get the next guy?
No, I think notsoErudite said it.
Cool. We'll bring in 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙. Hello. You're live on air, sir.
Okay, let me get the camera going.
Please.
Did that work?
It does. Hello.
I got. There we go. Now mute the stream. So, hello. Don't know any of you except for Erudite, so my comments are going to be more about my experience with her. In the sense that the general question is it possible for a man to comment on the appearance of a woman without it being interpreted as creepy when lacking context? Specifically, right? So unlike Wick, I come across as straight, even though I'm gay, so Wick's kind of like the opposite. And love you, baby. And love the sun dick too. And that's not as sexual as it sounds. But for example, you know, as I've watched Erudite's your career evolve, your look has changed. I personally kind of miss the lighter hair color because it was showing more texture. And yes, I know that's like super, super gay. But for example, if I'm on stream, I'm like, oh, this outfit is working for me. And I say that in chat without any sort of inflection or context. I'm like, I'm going to go, I shouldn't say that because there's no way that it doesn't come across as creepy. So, I mean, would you agree for that? Is it possible to compliment, you know, if the woman doesn't know that you're gay, will any compliments on appearance be interpreted as us having a sexual context, or is it like, no, it's just a compliment on appearance and it's obvious it's just about the outfit and it's not like I want to please pay attention, nice lady, I want to do the sexy thing? Because
I think it's the way that you word it is what makes it creepy. Like a compliment's a compliment. Like it's one thing to say like that shirt looks nice on you. It's another thing to say your tits look nice in that shirt. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, that's pretty clear. So for example, I remember one time in particular, you've got a red turtleneck. And with the dark hair, I was like, oh, wow, okay. So now the texture of the hair is coming through, and that's working for me better. I don't miss the old hair as much. And I'm like, okay. That works. And I said that, and then after I typed it, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't, because the last thing I want to do is I don't want to make it creepy.
I just don't care. Compliments are compliments to me. I don't know. I reject this notion that because even if it's a sexual comment, that it's like bad inherently. It's just like, I don't know, even if you say I have a great rack, like thanks. I have small boobies, bright base. Thank you. I do have a nice rack. I don't really, but I appreciate it. I don't know. So in my community, I'm really different. I don't give a fuck at all. And if I have a problem with it, I'll probably just wholly ignore it. I don't care that much. But that's not going to translate.
Well, that was just the context for the whole panel and their thoughts. Like if I'm engaging with someone's stream and I just wanted a non-sexual, I'm like, ooh, someone put some effort into someone's serving a look today. Now, if I say serving a look, there's no way that comes across as straight.
I don't know. If you commented on the texture of my hair, I would for sure know that I was going to say either a woman or a gay man.
You outed yourself the second you said that. But I was gonna say that I mean, okay, look, right, like if the compliment is like falls under the vein of like, oh, you should smile, I bet you look really pretty if you smiled, like that kind of, you know, if it falls under that level of compliment, I can immediately class that as creepy, right? As soon as it starts getting specific, as soon as it like it appears as if you put more than a brain cell's worth of thought into the comment, then that's when I actually do see that in a different light, right? Like if you commented on the texture, or if you said that like, I really like how you played your makeup off of your outfit, like that to me, it signifies to me that you've actually, like, this is a genuine compliment. You're actually thinking about what you're saying. And
I guess because the context is the last thing I want to do is contribute to kind of the creepiness. I mean, there's a lot of creepiness that happens on here, and a lot of, you know, flirting with someone that you're talking to on a video chat is just bizarre to me. And that's a lot. I mean, unless you're in a space where you're specifically there for that. And so the last thing I want to do is contribute to that because none of you are telepathic and therefore you don't know what I'm thinking. And so I'm like, oh, I didn't mean it that way, but I'm like, okay, but I'm just another dude on the internet that's interacting with their stream, and so, you know, it probably I guess the question is there implied creepiness based on gender, or is it like, no, sometimes. You wait till someone proves themselves?
So for some girls, yes, but some girls are immature. I think like girls that mature more often, there's a really big difference between, like, I would give you the same advice that I give my straight guys looking to cold approach women, which is give thoughtful compliments because people just appreciate them. It doesn't matter if like they read it as sexual or not, because people in general like intentional compliments, right? If you be like, hey, I really like the shade of green. It really pulls out the hazel in your eyes. I don't care if you're hitting on me. That's just a thoughtful compliment because it does. That's why I'm wearing it. So it's like, it shows that you're thinking about it. Straight guys doing this as well, even if it feels like slightly like it might be leading somewhere sexual, almost always, not just women, people just like these types of compliments, and it's very rarely poorly received. And if it is poorly received at that point, I unironically just think that's their stuff.
Okay, so it's like, you know, for example, saying like, Wick, your glasses complement the shape of your face.
Yeah, that's a great compliment.
The X in this case, it was creepy. So, you know, hey,
I feel like if it's a genuine compliment, it'll come across that way. Like if you really mean it.
I will say this. Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. Finish your statement, but I have a thought.
No, I was just gonna say, like, if it's a genuine compliment and you really mean it and you've like really thought about it and think like they look really good because of this, like it'll come across that way. Like if you're being genuine, it'll come across genuine.
I'm gonna let you know, as a man who streams on the internet, we don't get compliments about our looks hardly ever. It's rare. It happens.
That's because you and I are on different sites.
Oh, well, fair. If I were on
If you
a
wanna go fish-
certain, so if I
Go open
had
up
branded
Growler.
myself in a certain way, it might be different. But
If you want to go fishing for compliments, create a Growler account. You'll
fair
probably get
enough.
'em.
Fair enough. But at the same time,
I
right?
know the
like
gay community can be fucking savage with each other. Oh my
in
gosh.
in the Twitch sphere, in the streaming
fair
sphere, in the
enough,
Twitch
okay.
and the YouTube sphere, men just don't generally get compliments. But I got some money to say some things, and then I want to hear some thoughts from 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙 on this.
I also feel like men don't really get compliments in person a lot as well, right?
Yeah. Just in general, men
just
don't
in
get
general.
complimented.
That's all.
I also don't feel though that the men online put as much effort into their appearance as
I
the women
don't.
do.
I literally did nothing to look like Sadkitcat was saying how she put on her makeup.
I did
think
my makeup for an hour and I panicked.
I think. Well,
hold
like
on,
you
I
all
would
did your
say that,
makeup
like,
for this,
rolled
right?
out of bed.
Right?
But
But
hold on, I would
I
say that,
seriously
like, if-
just turned on the camera, right? I showered, but other than that,
I just got
No,
back
dude,
from the mall. I
prepared,
spent
like, 3 hours
$200
before I,
at
like,
Aveda.
showered. I'm
right?
like, I
mean,
gotta
it's just how it
zen
is.
out. I gotta do my makeup, pick an outfit. I'm gonna be comfy today. Like, it's a whole thought process. But I think that might just be like, not woman, but like a lot of women. You know, you gotta figure out what you want to do to like make yourself feel good that day.
Yeah, girls are taught to compete in looks as well. Like that's the main way that we kind of in the social sexual market where we're like taught to kind of compete. So like women just think more about looks because men select for looks a lot of the time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you
for coming on, Meatwad. Really appreciate you.
That's good.
And we'll see you another day. So a few super chats have come through. One from Erudite's community and 2 from mine. So I'll get to the Erudite's community first.
Super chats.
Oh, and they keep coming. Gang, we'll get to them. Don't stop. We'll get to them though. I promise. Okay. So from Erudite community, how would female content creation look different if women had been the ones to set the standard of online streaming dynamics? Or would it look different?
Everything from the female gaze instead of the male gaze.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That'd be
interesting.
interesting.
It'd be crazy.
That would be interesting. Like,
Yeah.
The
I have no idea.
Have y'all ever seen like the oh man, I used to be like really big into this back when I was like a teenager, but like the porn that was like for women, if that makes sense. Like, no, like that was specifically designed like to cater to women. Like that sort of thing. Like that was like really or at least I was really into that, but then, you know, but like I think that you know, obviously I went straight to sex, like, but I think it would be interesting to see.
Oh my gosh.
A space dictated by
I know
women.
this is y'all's panel, but I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think it would look different at all because at the end
I
of the
don't think so
day,
either.
they're appealing to the male gaze still, and that's
Yeah,
for them
if
what
the
makes
audience,
money. Yeah.
if the audience was still men, the site like who's.
What if the audience was women though? Like what if it was like woman dictated, like women are the majority, like we're here for women. Like I feel like things like especially
Then
like
they
women
would, yeah.
content, like fashion and makeup, it's very aesthetic, it's very clean. It's very I can't think of another word. But woman aesthetics are different from men aesthetics.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of mommy blogs, a lot more probably
Mhm.
IRL streaming specifically, a lot more
Yeah.
lifestyle streaming, a lot
Yeah.
more like cooking and like tutorial type stuff, particularly
Teaching
for, like,
people how to do things, how to like take care of
things.
themselves, how to take care of their families.
Probably more animals.
Having-
You see a lot
Yeah.
more animals.
Yeah, puppies and kittens.
That being said, though, I will say that I don't know if any like I don't know how like if the rest of you are on Reddit as much as I am, but I very often will like
I'm on
get
Reddit
into
a lot.
Yeah, have you ever seen these like circle jerk communities? And
You mean
the ones
Reddit?
yes, well, yes, but okay, so for example, as really 2 examples. One's like the makeup circle jerk. Subreddit.
Yeah.
And then there's also the houseplants circle
One
jerk
circle jerk
subreddit.
community, the child free community is just sucking each other off all day long. All
Well,
day.
So you know,
Crazy.
Are
it's
these
really
euphemisms
interesting.
or I'm not familiar?
No, it's for realsies.
Oh.
No.
Group orgies all the time.
So like
Every day.
the problem that I see, and I realize that this is just like a thing of circle jerk communities, where and you know, maybe there are other circle jerk communities that are not women dominated spaces, but I know like both makeup and houseplants are very like female dominated spaces, right?
Same with child free.
Okay, child free as well, because we get a lot of those comments, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like they like start out being like pointing out, you know, valid criticisms, and then they turn into these fucking toxic ass.
Bro, they get delusional.
Yeah, and it's like basically you can't go a day without seeing like a makeup addiction post and then the corresponding circle jerk post about it. And I feel like if Twitch were like that, I feel like we'd see some circle jerk.
Yeah, I mean, there's bad things about like being in a woman only community and bad things about being in a man's only like space or whatever. They both have their pros and cons. I think it would be like interesting to see if everything was woman dominated, how much that would like kind of shift things. If we weren't so concerned about what like men thought about us and it was just women about like woman, if that makes sense.
I'm gonna
I think the issue is that we actually like matriarchies don't really rise to the top of like any universal like, civilizations. We don't really know what that looks like. And one thing I've noticed is that like female spaces tend to organize pretty chaotically. Like in men's spaces, typically the people who rise to the top are like the most competent broadly. Whereas in female spaces, it's super random. Like sometimes it's the most antisocial
women aren't really
girl.
searching for power in the same way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, women want like their family to rule over, but they don't want to rule over the whole community. Like that's a lot of responsibility, bro. I gotta fucking wipe everyone's ass. Like
Yeah, and just in general, like men generally tend to be a little bit more preoccupied with things, and so unsurprisingly, they're fixated on like building empires and building these things. So, like, yeah, if Twitch was the same, but it was just run by women, but it had the same audience, I think, yeah, I don't think the profit motive is gendered at all.
Yeah. I'm going to rapid fire these. So bear with me.
Ready.
Tesco Johnson for $5.50. The perfect woman has to give me a boner in my heart before she gives me a boner in my pants. Fair.
Not true.
Pixels going
Boners.
challenge. Pixels going their own way says, "Have a good day, folks. Bye." Also, notsoErudite, you are a meanie. Notice he didn't call me a meanie because I'm a man, and men can do things that women, if they
I'm
do
way
them,
meaner than you, Wick. I'm sorry. I'm
I
way
mean,
meaner
fair.
than you.
No, that is unironically true. But no step on snake, Drexel for $2 says, "If prostitution was legal, we could avoid this." No, I'm not sure what he's referring to, but fair.
Yeah,
no. No step on snake says, last question, and this is for $20. This panel is about women in online spaces. Is the fact that most of the talk and or questions here has been sexual in nature showcase a major problem? How do we get away from this topic? Should we?
I mean, women are just like women are just sexualized, right? Like even when we're not sexualized, we're also like sexual beings in ourselves. Like one of the funnest things about being a woman is like being sexy. Do you know what I mean? Like being hot, like having your little top, having your little skirt, doing your little girly thing, like being sexual. That's like one of the funnest things about being a woman is you get to be sexual. But that also comes with the other side of the coin where you're going to be sexualized whether you want to be or not, because people want to see you in that little skirt.
Right. Yeah, it's very much like the Samson and Delilah paradigm, actually. Like we see this kind of dynamic play out, like even in like ancient literature. Samson was a hyper masculine type, and he was super, if you don't know the Bible story, he was super strong, like hyperbolically, ridiculously not human strong, right? And he was undertaken by a sexy, beautiful woman who wooed him. And so it's like it very much like highlights the way like our society is always kind of treated like the two power systems. Is there something inherently like bad about that? There's certainly lots of inherent bad things that come from it. No question about that.
Yeah.
Sexual assault, right? No, it's a pretty easy statistic to point to. The dominant victim of sexual assault. So, it is sad though, because there's this weird tension that women exist in, which is both a encouragement to be sexual and validation, and then turning around that if they lean into that, then there's the shaming that's attached to it. Women exist as much, men exist in rock and a hard place, but so do women. It's kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Any thoughts on this, 𝕾𝖍𝖎, before we bring our last caller to close this out?
No, I don't think that that's surprising that that is the topic because I feel both audiences are probably pretty male dominated too. You know what I mean? So I think that is exactly what I would expect to come up.
Okay. Speaking of coming up, let's bring in our last caller. Hello. You're live. Hello. You're muted also on your end. So
Oh no.
oh no, you this is your shot. This is your chance, right? Your one chance to make it big on the streaming
There's
space.
so many
Impress us all.
women here.
Oh,
Oh
man.
no.
Oh no, they tried to
Bam, bam.
they probably tried to turn on their camera and it probably kicked them back. Unless they moved back before. I can't tell. You're muted, so we can't hear you, friend.
You're surrounded by girls.
Almost.
And Wick.
And Wick.
And Wick.
Whoa.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Scumbag, one more chance, one more shot, last chance.
Yes, I'm sorry. Oh my god, I just got an ad on your stream. Thank God you dragged me. There's 7 ads.
You know, you can
7
stop that
fucking
ad
ads.
stuff by subbing to the channel, or someone gift him a sub. Gift that man a sub.
Wait, can you see me? I'm broke, my G. I'm broke. I don't have money,
What?
bro.
Well, do you have a question?
Got those nice headphones?
Yeah, with those cracking kitty ears. Come on.
I'm an e-boy. So my question is, I remembered it because like I got stoned and then I forgot. It's a problem I have, you know. I smoke a little
Don't
too
worry
much
about it.
pot. But I feel like unless I misheard it, so someone earlier said it was just like a little weird if a sex worker leads on a man to like juice him out of money, but like don't like so like I've noticed this like where like women will juice men out of money and or women will manipulate men out of money and guys will manipulate women for sex. So they're pretty much the same thing. And then also I wanted to know like where are the mostly male dominated spaces where you face the most like scrutiny in your opinion?
So for me, like manipulating anyone for anything for your own gain is a bit like whack. It's a bit weird. I like if you can't like just do it on your own, if you can't just get that on your own, you have to like trick people into getting what you want. I think that's a little bit weird, but that's just me personally. And then I think male dominated spaces where it's kind of hard to like get into them as women are specifically like the political sphere of Twitch can be very toxic and very mean to women. And then also like gaming spaces because this is like a men's like comfortable space, and then when a woman pops in, they get I don't know why they get very aggressive about it.
I mean, I went basically as to say I think it's like it's like criminal. I think there are elements of it that probably should be criminalized because I think women actively sometimes like con men, maybe even like defraud them. I need to look into like what specific crime that I would associate it with it. I think it's really bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Just like I think men utilizing alcohol for both parties to try to manipulate a girl to convince her to have sex with him when she otherwise wouldn't
Super
have
fucked up.
is super
Whack.
fucked up,
It's
right?
whack.
It leads
It's
to
whack.
really bad situations. So yeah, I guess that's my sense. I think it's antisocial as fuck. I think it gets yas queened in certain circles, and I think that's cringe. I think when Cardi B came out talking about how she like actively drugged men and stole money, people are just like, yes, and it was like, no, that's bad. Although a lot of people came out and said that it was bad, so I don't know. Yeah,
I think if we're talking about OnlyFans, right, which I'm kind of assuming we are, it's transactional. Like you're selling the content and getting the money. I don't know if that's like manipulation.
Well, okay,
Well,
but
there's
here's the
chicks-
thing.
yeah,
here's
like I
the
mean,
thing.
what's your
okay.
what's your
Okay,
qualifier?
There's chicks who
but
will play
okay,
up a story to
okay.
get more money.
So yeah, they'll play up a story, but also, the thing is, like on the internet, a lot of men are mentally ill, and so like
women?
they'll get fucking juiced by this succubus, you know, spitting these beautiful silver lies and getting
you
him on
love
a
it.
hook. Well, no, they might love it. They might love it, but they think it's real, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't like
Yeah.
just flat out lie, but if
Isn't that
you're
like a
flirting
used
with
car
someone for money,
salesman?
that's the point.
Like a used car salesman, they're like manipulating people into buying shit that they shouldn't buy. But I think it's wrong either way. Like I know you're just trying to make your bank and like trying to like get your check and pay your bills, but like if you have to like trick people into buying things that they wouldn't otherwise buy because they're
Where's
not
the line
interested
for
in it,
this?
but you tell them it's a good idea.
No,
Like
no,
that,
I'm really curious, Sadkitcat, and to 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙𝖘𝖍𝖔𝖜. I'm curious, both of you. Where is the line between just being a charming person to try to sell something, right? Like you want people to think well of you so you can sell your product, whether that be your body, your pictures, or whether that just be like your brand, right? Or your product, saying you're a used car salesman. You want to be personable, right? So where's the line? And part of that does involve flirting a little bit, right? And being a little flirty with the audience, right?
For me personally, like I'm just like I try to be like myself in every way possible. Like I try to act the way that I would act normally. And then if people want extra from me to get more money from me, depending on what it is, like I usually shut it down because I already offer this like type of content, so you can get that content if you want more. Like me personally, I'm usually not like other sex workers would totally be down to like, oh, you'll give me $50 to do this, sure, whatever. But me personally, I don't do customs, I don't like sex, I don't do anything like that. Like if you want to do anything beyond what I already have up, I don't engage with any of that. So I think it's different for me personally.
Yeah,
because I'm not trying to make more money out of people, but beyond what I already have.
Yeah, you're like an outlier.
What do you think, Mo?
For me, I'm pretty disconnected from like the actual, because it's not me, you know. I'm doing other people's accounts, but like I think it's delusional to pay for a site, to pay to talk to a girl, and then be like, she's using me for money. No shit. Like, are we just gonna act like that's like normal? Like, oh, I shouldn't flirt with this guy, he's gonna send me more money. And I agree, like, yeah, you shouldn't lie, and you shouldn't say, oh, one day we're gonna meet and go shopping together and like be together. You shouldn't say that. But you're paying to talk to the girl.
It's true.
If that's not where you go to meet a girlfriend. Sorry. I mean, maybe you fucking could. I don't know.
You're paying to talk to the girl or to see some things. You're not paying to talk to the girl all the time. Because I remember I one time rizzed up an OF girl. I almost moved across the country. She was bad as fuck too.
She rizzed you up. You're the one that almost moved. She rizzed you up.
No. I'm the Rizzler.
I don't know. Our context says otherwise.
I think if you would take the situation and apply it elsewhere, and you would think that it's unethical behavior, and you say, but I'm willing to do it for money, then at the end of the day, you're saying my primary ethic is money. And I think people whose primary ethic is money is cringe. I think it's bad, but it's really hard to criticize because also, welcome to North America. There's tons of people who unironically basically think as long as it's paying me money, it's kind of ethically okay. This is also the streamer conundrum, where streamers are financially incentivized to be antisocial fucks for money. That's really tough.
Streamers
are
awful too.
in my mind, if I have an ethic, I don't care about the money. And that's what I decided the moment I came into streaming, because I saw that in the space. And that's something that I appreciate about some streamers, is that no matter what, their ethic is their ethic and they stick to it regardless of the money.
I totally agree with you 100%. It's difficult because you feel like you want to make that money and you want to make that bank and you want to get your bills paid and you want to have things taken care of, but at the same time, you have to live with that. Like, I don't want to do something where I'm going to think about it like even a week later and be like, why the fuck would I like do that? Like, why would I swindle someone like that? Like, that doesn't like sit right with me personally. Like, but I also envy people who can do that because I want to make that money, and other people who don't give a shit. And it's like, well, I'm gonna get my bills paid. I'm gonna make my money. Like, fuck it. Like, why, if they're gonna pay, why shouldn't I? And I envy. I wish I could be like that.
Yeah,
right.
And
so I think
honestly,
flirting
I
for
couldn't
money
do it because of laziness.
Yeah, flirting for money is
I'm also
fine.
lazy.
That's the point of
I can't
OnlyFans.
do
That's the point of it. That's the nature of OnlyFans. Lying about who's talking back to the men is bad. That's bad business practice. That is
don't do
wrong.
anything like that. though. Like,
I'm unmovable on that, right? It's wrong to promise guys anything about your relationship in exchange for money.
Yeah,
right?
I don't.
Maximal
do anything
transparency.
like that.
I'm not saying you guys do. I'm not saying you guys
Sorry,
do.
I'm just like clarifying because But I don't think you're attacking me. I just like put it out there.
Yeah. So like, to me, anything that we would say used car salesman, anyone doing, which is actively lying about the car, actively lying about what's available, actively lying about things, is wrong. It is wrong to do. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Come back.
But people do it, obviously.
Thank you for coming on.
Oh, I love
hope
you,
got your
Wiki.
question. I love you
Nice
too.
seeing you again, scumbag.
Bye-bye.
You did it.
It's only 6 p.m. for me.
We are
Damn.
winding down, however, because I want to respect people's time. We have gone over time, and I appreciate y'all sticking here.
Yeah, this was so much fun.
Gang.
I'm having fun.
Well, I'm glad, and hopefully you come on more of my shows. We have all sorts
No,
of
I'm
panels,
nervous,
right?
but
I know
like,
you're nervous,
yeah, I'll
but
come on again. I think that'd be cool. If
Beautiful.
you do another like feminist panel where we can yell about being women,
I don't know. We'll see, right? I feel like I've done a lot of these, and every time I get pushback by the women I didn't invite, and they get mad because I didn't invite them.
invite them all, and then we'll have 10 people on, and we can all. You'll have just women scream.
But I wanted to say, gang, if you like this content, hit the like button and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, could really use that. If you're on Twitch, hit the follow button. It's great. I want to give all these wonderful guests an outro and where you can find them if you want to hear more about what they have to say on, or want to see more of what they do on their own streams. And also, as you're giving your outro, I do have one more question that you can answer during it. If you could give one message to men, right? What, like in online spaces, right? Like, what would you want them to understand the most about your experience being a woman? If you could be concise with that, that'd be great. We're gonna start with Icebeans. Go ahead.
So this was a ton of fun. I am starving, but this was like I stayed because it's just been a blast. Definitely do this again, Wick, maybe with different women, but just so that you can appease the people in your crowd. But I'm Icebeans. I'm Ice_Beans on Twitch. I stream Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I will be returning next Tuesday. And yeah, just hit me up, throw me a follow. To answer your question, you said, wait, what was the question, Wick?
What if you could give one parting message to men to understand about what it's like to be a woman in online spaces? What would it be?
Honestly, I mean, if you wouldn't, this sounds really cringy, but like, if you wouldn't say this to like a personal friend, like, you probably shouldn't say it to a random stranger online, regardless of if they're a woman or not. But yeah, basically just read the fucking room, dude. Like, just read the room. That's really it.
Read the room. Go check her out, Icebeans on Twitch. And yeah, give her a follow, gang. Next up, Little Mole.
Mole, what's up? I stream every day. I definitely don't have probably tell, but I don't have deep conversations like this typically. I just get drunk and play video games and party. But it's fun. It's a nice change of pace for me. I'm learning a lot. But I think one thing for the men on the internet would just be just read the room like she said. And if it's not wanted, don't be mad. If you're coming across creepy, learn how to take rejection. It's okay. There's other people that will want you, and there's people that are okay with what you want to say. Don't let it make you hate women. You'll be fine.
Well, gang, check her out. She's great. Yeah, it doesn't all have to be awesome, cool panels like this. Sometimes it could be just getting drunk and having fun, and that's okay. And gang, everyone can find someone who will love them except for you specifically. notsoErudite, please.
Yeah, I'm notsoErudite. I do like politics and social commentary, and kind of talk about like gender dynamics and stuff a lot, psychology as well. One thing I wish men could know. I don't know. I assume that men have heard everything. I don't think there's like many men being like, "What? I've never heard of that." I guess what I would say is there's a lot of young men who are really bitter and angry because they feel left out. And I think that's really fair, but don't do the thing that you hate of the opposite group, which is then vilify the entire opposite gender because you've been disregarded and uncared about. Doesn't help, even though I understand it.
Doesn't help, gang. Check her out. She's awesome. Give her a follow. Give her a like and a subscribe too. I know she's on YouTube as well. And yeah, she's great. Last, but certainly not least, though, we have Sadkitcat, please.
Yeah, I'm Sadkitcat on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, blah blah blah. I hang out on Twitch like every day. I stream like 10 hours a day. I don't know what's wrong with me. If I could say anything to men about women being online, I don't know. Just be nice. It's just another person. It's just another human. You don't have to be shy. You don't have to. If you think she's cute, like just say hi. Just pop in, see what's up.
Cool. Gang, check her out. 10 hours a day. Wow, I don't know. I couldn't do 10 hours a day. That's a long
I love it.
Hey, if you're enjoying what you're doing, you never work a day in your life. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've heard. It is what it is. Gang, no stream tomorrow. I'm taking a day off. It's Friday. We're gonna be talking about gun control. So if you want to hear about that,
that'll be fun.
Yeah. What's with that laugh? Gun control. It's a topic, okay? Okay.
Untopic, gun control. See you Friday.
See you Friday, 6 p.m. Remember to sub to me and Twitch. Like, YouTube, blow you out of the water today, gang. Twitch, I don't know what you're doing. Like, YouTube has given me so much money. In Twitch, you have given me almost nothing.
Welcome to the red pills phase.
Yeah, I don't know. But for now, we got to rave. Bye-bye. Oh, we're going to raid into someone. Are any of you streaming right now?
I am, but if there's somebody else, feel free to toss it to them first.
No?
I'll be streaming later, but I'm not live right now, so.
Okay, well, I can't raid you right now if you're not live. Okay,
Well,
Lilmole,
live.
not live?
I'll be
Okay.
live in like 3 hours.
This was fun, yo.
We'll toss it to notsoErudite, gang. So bye. Make sure you let her know that this was not a sex thing. Us raiding her is not sexual in nature. Just stress that repeatedly over and over again, because that you got to make sure she knows, right? Like that's the best way to do it. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Good night, y'all.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.